Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, good morning. How's everybody? It's good to be with you. Snowy Pittsburgh.
Cold as.
I'm so glad the taxes that I pay got my streets super cleared off. I mean, it's perfect. Oh, that's right. No, it's not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know what? Brock and I have been marveling the last several hours over how one 23-year-old YouTuber has captured the oxygen and stolen it from every other story in the news. Who's talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Crickets.
Maybe Thomas Massey.
Who's talking about Israel? Crickets. How about Ukraine and Russia? I don't know. What about, ICE? What happened to ICE? They're taking people off the streets.
The only thing they're saying about ICE is they're in Minneapolis.
Right? It is amazing how everything just kind of goes poof when it doesn't work. When something else comes forward and they're like, God darn it.
We were trying to hide this and not talk about it.
Yes, stop it. And it all still freaks me out that Melissa Hortman
died because of it.
And her husband were shot and killed with their daughter home.
From a guy who was in the Walls administration. Or not his administration, he had a job with Walls.
Who was scary as balls, who had a freaking mask on. Wasn't he the guy?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't talk about that at all, did we? Well, we did. Where's everybody else? Why did that woman die?
Political violence. Right, the rhetoric.
Because, everybody was hot to take out Melissa Hortman.
Yeah.
They weren't until she voted against health care for illegals.
Well, you could see when she gave this, the presser afterwards,
so
you could see she was in fear. She knew. She knew what that
You guys,
vote meant.
look, this is the ABC show Scandal. You and I are living it out. When I was a TV news anchor here in Pittsburgh for many, many years, and we went on the 11 o'clock news, we went on after Scandal. It was my favorite show. It was like the only show that was worth a crap. Dancing with the Stars, you're like, literally? So we'd watch Scandal, and I'm like, this is just a little outrageous. This is so far-fetched, and now I'm like,
fast forward, you're like, oh, this is right on.
I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on?
It was like that show House of Cards on
Never saw
Netflix.
Never saw that.
People were like, no way.
Right.
Now you're like, I know hindsight's 2020.
Honestly, when you see the United States military pull the move that Luke Skywalker did to blow up the Death Star, you're like, oh my God, we're living in a simulation. He's like, Luke, feel the force.
Yeah.
And the guy's like,
he's hit a wombat before, whatever they were.
Right? Come on. The heck is going on? I have a lot of questions about this Somali crap, right? And any schmuck out there who's like, you're racist if you bring it up. If you're attacking the Somalian community, look, am I saying that all of the Somalians are fraudsters? How could I possibly know that? There's 80 to 100,000 of them there. I had no idea. I have no idea. Other than what we see so far out of the community, am I going to say that these are a great group of people, wonderful additives to the fabric called America? No.
Hey, listen, their main export is fraud.
Number one profession, pirate. National treasure. I love that man, Stephen Miller. Oh, my. If he only knew how he got my gears grinding early in the morning.
Wow.
I know that was kind of grody. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, it's great to be with you. How about 174 million views yesterday?
147 million.
Yeah, it was a lot.
1,000.
It was a lot. Million. I'm adding a few zeros. We're not getting audited. Nobody knows.
No.
So this was interesting. My son, Michael Toolsy, who handles all of the social media, so he does all of the clips for Instagram and TikTok and et cetera, et cetera. He was telling me about our followers on Instagram versus TikTok. On TikTok, it's primarily women. On Instagram, it's primarily men.
Really?
$100, Froggy. You know what? You and I are going to have to start dating now because between yesterday and today, you just took me out for a really nice dinner.
Don't do it, Froggy.
Do it. Do it. Do
That
it.
$100 is going to seem like 5.
Hey, we are a radio program, which is why we're in a commercial right now, waiting for all of our affiliates, of which how many we know. I have no idea how many there are, but they're out there and they're waiting for us like you are waiting for us. And we're so excited that you're here. So welcome, Froggy. To the WBR Army, I love you all and wish you the best new year under our fantastic President Trump. May your cup overflow, and I wish you great health. Amen. Wow. Oh, you like my jacket, don't you? I know, right?
Freebie.
Yeah, I know. Freebie. Love it when my friend gives me her clothes that she doesn't wear. Like, damn you. And I like that it's leather. Let's go. What other colors?
She never gives
do you
me
have?
anything.
Well, it's a little too small for you.
Oh. They don't come in husky?
I'm just saying. When you don't have a whole lot, fits in there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America, and greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense, conservative values, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's what we do, and here's the deal. I know we get a lot of new eyes and ears on us every single day. So if this is the first time you've been a part of this army of ours, this family, first of all, welcome. And secondly, let me just tell you, it's very basic. I promise to you that I'm never going to lie to you. That's the deal. I'll always give you the truth as I see it and the facts to back it up so that you can make the best decisions for you and the people you love. And you just keep coming back. How about that? Does that work for you as we count down the end of 2025? And we open the door to the story, of course, that has captured the world's attention for 4 days. We're going to get into all of it here on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I can't really say that there are many things in my life that I've done particularly well. I can tell you if I have one talent at all, it probably would be to care about somebody enough to tell their story. I mean, I did that for many, many years, decades, in fact, on television, and I delighted in that. It's an amazing thing when someone trusts you, when you sit down with them with the live camera on them or a recorded one, and they share with you their life story. They trust it and they put it in your hands. And then you go and you deliver the best product you possibly can. I was pretty good at that back in the day. And I think I have a story that I can tell to the President of the United States, Mr. Trump. I sure hope you're out there paying attention. I know you're a busy dude. I saw you with Netanyahu yesterday talking about Israel, talking about Gaza, talking about peace. I want to say something to you because it's important that you hear this. And please know, I am a trained professional in this regard. My man, you are missing the point. You are blowing it. You are missing an opportunity to connect. And I got to shake you. I got to stop you. And I have to say, Mr. President, please stop. You know what? We care about Ukraine not really that much anymore. I'm sorry. It's a fact. I'm sorry that people are getting killed every day. But you know what? We've got problems here at home. And we want to be America first. We want to be America only for a period of time. And I know you've got a lot of jazz going on. I know you got your sights on Maduro in Venezuela. I know you're going against the drugs and all of this stuff that's killed so many of our sons and daughters. And I'm with you on that. But my man, for 4 days, one 23-year-old YouTuber has sucked the world's news out of the ethos, and he has corralled it into one story, and it's all about fraud, and it's all about Minnesota. Is it only Minnesota? Of course not. He gave us the tip of the iceberg, sir. I'm starving for your truth about that. Where's your social media account? Where are you? Because you tell us about Epstein. You tell us about Marjorie Taylor Greene. You shout out Pam Bondi. And to your credit, that's great. What about this? What about the fraud? What about the theft? What about the obnoxious corruption in Minnesota? Where are you? I know you've spoken about the Somalian community. That's not what I'm talking about. Where is accountability, sir? Look, I'm not going to tell you how to be president. I'm telling you that you're missing it with the people who voted for you. I'm telling you, for day number 2 now, it's a swing and a miss every single opportunity you have to stand before a microphone and make a comment and say, this is the kind of crap I came down that escalator about in 2015. And I said I was going to drain the swamp. The swamp lets this happen. It's the way the swamp stays in business, sir. Where's your press conference on this? Where are the lights and the cameras? Where's the Oval Office address? Capture America's attention, sir. Call for it and address it. And then you know what you do, humbly? You bring that young man, Nick Shirley, who did more than any media outlet has yet to do in a short amount of time. And you bring him into the White House press briefing room and you give him the podium and you let the media ask him questions for as long as it takes. Because you'll find out real fast who's not covering the story of rampant fraud and abuse, of the generosity and the ignorance we did not know how bad it was of the American people. You know, and lost in this whole conversation about just Nick heading on daycare fraud in the state of Minnesota, right? Just that. Where are all of the Minnesotan workers? The child care, youth, family workers. You have more than 1,000 child care facilities. Who's inspecting them? Who's going in and seeing what the facilities look like? Why are there no windows on the building? Why are there no facilities for children to play? You know as well as I, because they don't exist. The services don't exist, and the kids don't exist to get their benefits. And yet, we're paying for it, Mr. President. You know, you might be a billionaire. I'm not. I have 5 kids, 5 sons. They're expensive. You know, I had to hassle with daycare back in the day. I had 2 in daycare back in 2002, 24 years ago. And it set us back $1,500 a month. Then one of the most critical things and necessary things for parents to need. Somebody to be trustworthy, to take care of their children when they're not there. And not only are the people of Minnesota not getting that, they're getting bent over and screwed by a system that is so damn corrupt. It's like everybody knows, but nobody's stopping it. It's like Joe Biden, you guys. Come on. You guys ever thought for one freaking moment that 81 million people voted for a degenerate, deteriorating old man who nobody liked 30 years ago when he ran as a plagiarist the first time? Come on. We weren't supposed to talk about it when he walked into the bushes, getting off of Marine One, disoriented, going back to the White House. Nobody was supposed to talk about the Easter Bunny needed to come in and yield him, get him away from reporters. Nobody had to talk about what? The cue cards, that he forgot Hillary Clinton's name. He needed her picture and her name put on a piece of paper. And you and I weren't supposed to talk about it. Well, one old man is a lot different than a whole state full of young children. Where are kids going? Where's the accountability? Where are the inspections? Where are the records? And where, Mr. President, are you? Every moment you waste, the story gets bigger and bigger, and it spirals away from you. I don't want drugs coming to this country. I don't want people to die in wars thousands of miles away from here. I don't want to get boned always by the UN or by any of these organizations that don't pay their fair share. I'm tired of being lied to by big pharma so people can get rich. We're tired of corruption in all aspects of politics. The lies about crime, the lies about illegal aliens. But now they're fiddling with children. And that pisses me off. Get up, Mr. President. Say what needs to be said. We're on it. It stops now. Tim Walz, indict him. You know the score. Because I'll reiterate what I said yesterday. MAGA can't have been built on nonsense. It has to be built on results. This is important. The story today is evolving based on who all of a sudden is paying attention to the fraud and the abuse and the corruption, primarily by Somalians in Minnesota. That doesn't make anybody racist. It calls you a realist. There's a reason why they've gotten rich and you and I have gotten screwed. Because the money laundering apparatus that always goes back into the coffers of the Democrats is now in great jeopardy. And Minnesota lost a state representative, a speaker, shot and killed for standing up and doing the right thing. The time is now. Mr. President, grab the microphone, summon the media, fly in Nick Shirley wherever he is, and put him front and center. Let him tell the world how business has been run in the United States. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. So if we admit that Minnesota is broken, and it is, who's this Tiki Brown woman who's in charge of the Department of Children? Oh, we've reviewed these places. Everything's looking all right. Really? Let's go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I know it's going to piss you guys off. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you are big. I love Trump too. I support this man. I'm telling you, he's missing the ball. Missing it entirely. Unlike Texas Bullion Exchange. How am I going to turn this into precious metals discussion? Easy. I love gold and silver. And you know what? You got to be watching these prices. Let me go on and I'll see what's up right now. All right, wendylovesgold.com. Let's see what we got with our precious metals. So a lot of people are like, I hear from people who talk about precious metals. And I'm like, I don't know the first thing about gold or silver. And what's all about platinum and palladium? Is that worthwhile too? Yes. Yes, it is. I was in your same position. I knew nothing. And Texas Bullion Exchange reached out to me. They're like, hey, we see your show. We love your fire. We feel the same way you do. We love our country. We're, relatively younger parents. I'm not so sure I would call myself that anymore. But they're like, we'd love to talk to you about what we do. And I'm like, I know nothing about gold and silver. Well, an hour later, I was like, where do I sign up? And Joe and I were buying gold and silver from Texas Bullion Exchange. It's easy to do. wendylovesgold.com right now. We've got gold is up $53 an ounce to almost 4,400. Silver is up 5 to 75.97. It's freaking bananas. Platinum is up $113. Palladium up 37. Like, it's crazy. As the dollar goes down and down and down in value, gold and silver and other precious metals go up and up and up. And the thing that's great about Texas Bullion Exchange, WendyLovesGold.com, is that they protect your principal investment. You'll never sell your coins, your gold, silver, etc., back to them should you need to for less than you paid for it. It's a pretty great guarantee. Guaranteed not to lose money. 855-927-5557. I keep my silver close by. It's always nice to play with, by the way. It feels good. As I'm getting hot in here over this freaking fraud. They're supposed to have people inspect these premises. You can't tell me that they're inspecting them. They're not being inspected. Who are the people? How many people do you have? How many inspectors? You know, I spent about an hour this morning looking for that. Can't find a number. Don't you think that would be kind of open information since we all pay for these folks? Right? Hey, if you're new, hit the thumbs up button. Love to have you register your review here. We're at 173, with 11.6 watching right now. Let's go. We can hit 2.5. I'm going to go big. Go big. It's the thumbs up bubble underneath the video box. And if you like us, hit the button next to it, the follow button.
We gained almost 500 people yesterday.
That is amazing. I think people are just hungry for anything that doesn't suck. And duh, I'm a good person. Radio program. You know, a day or two after Nick Shirley went on the ground in Minneapolis and knocked on all the doors of these daycare centers that don't exist, tried to enroll his alleged son, who doesn't exist, into these daycare centers that don't exist. The only thing that's real is our money paying for it, the fleecing of America yet again. All of a sudden now, where no kids were seen, not one piece of jungle gym equipment, nothing for a child to play on, buildings that are boarded up or blacked out windows, right? Exactly where I want my kid to be hanging out while I'm at work, not able to be available, right? All of a sudden, these children are getting like trucked into these daycare centers. Isn't that remarkable? People who've not seen any activity in months, if not years, if not ever. All of a sudden now, oh, look, here's mom and dad dropping off their 3-year-old. Right. Well, here's your story. New York Post, all over it. Remember the Minnesota daycare that had the misspelled learning? They called it Leering, right? The Quality Leering Center. Apparently, they're trucking in children after the viral fraud video, as people who work in the area were like, well, that's very curious. I've never seen kids go in there until today. Nothing to see here. You must be mistaken. The story now is the guy behind this Quality Leering Center in Minneapolis. He's like, oh, Nick Shirley came and knocked on our door outside of normal business hours. Oh, got it. That must be why. So now, yesterday, all of a sudden, well, look at the kids showing up. The Quality Leering Center in Minneapolis, a purported daycare flagged in a viral video designed to expose fraud, may have been bustling with kids Monday, but it's typically such a ghost town that it appeared closed, a local told the Post. The resident called the kitty seen at the site Monday, few days after explosive footage called it out and suggested it was part of widespread state fraud. Highly unusual. Never seen kids go in there until today, the person said. The parking lot is empty all the time, and I was under the impression the place was permanently closed. Well, about that. Brings us to this woman. Her name is Tiki Brown. She is in charge of the Department of Children. She is the commissioner. This is a pretty big job. I would find it intriguing, as I do now, that I can get no details whatsoever from any kind of Minneapolis webpage that tells me how many inspectors are tasked with going to tour the 1,750 to 1,800 child daycare facilities in the state of Minnesota. How many people are doing it? When do they do it? Where are the records? Because this place sure as hell didn't pass. I want you to hear Tiki Brown. She says, hey, buck stops with me. I'm all over it.
We are aware of a video that's being circulated that has gained local and national attention about child care centers in Minnesota. While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously. Each of the facilities mentioned in the video has been visited at least once in the last 6 months as part of our typical licensing process. And in fact, our staff are out in the community today to visit each of these sites again so that we can look into the concerns that were raised in the video. So I won't go into any detail about whether or not any of these have any open investigations. I will share that our team was notified that Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago. And I believe the details that were given at that time were around space concerns. And that's what was shared.
Space concerns. Well, if you said that the Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis closed down about a week ago, well, that's kind of funny because that's where all the kids were getting dropped off yesterday. Monday's busy parking lot and the roughly 20 kids streaming in and out as a reporter from the New York Post staked out the site. Well, it was in stark contrast to a neighbor's description and YouTuber Nick Shirley's video showing what appeared to be a facility that wasn't in use at all. Guys, it had snowed. There were no tracks in the snow. Nobody was there. Come on. We all know what's going on. So, Tiki, what is it? Was the place closed a week ago due to space concerns? Or does nobody in your Department of Children, Youth, and Families actually stop by to check? Oh, they were all just visited within the last 6 months. It's my understanding that that particular site closed about a week ago. Well, I'm sorry, Tiki. That's the wrong answer. Ibrahim Ali, the son of the owner of the childhood Leering or the Quality Learning Center, is apparently a little butthurt that anybody is kind of getting in the way. He said, you know what? He claimed to the Post on Monday that Nick Shirley's visit came before they opened for the day. Really? Do you go to a coffee shop at 11 p.m. and say, hey, they're not working? Ali argued to the Post. He also blamed a graphic designer for the now infamous typo on the site's sign. What would you have done, Brock, if you were the Quality Learning Center owner and somebody misspelled the word on your sign?
I wouldn't have put the sign up.
Well, then there's that, right? I don't know who is more corrupt, who is playing the average person more, who thinks you are dumb. Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we're just getting warmed up. The mad scramble to save face amid monster fraud and deception. Tim Walz, yeah, he did to Minnesota what Joe Biden did to the border. Explain that next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It wasn't my fault. Somebody else spelled the word wrong. Well, you didn't identify it, jackass. Right? Right? It's sort of like the semi-driver who doesn't speak English. He'll figure it out. Layering. Okay. That's why I'll never shop. One of my pet peeves is I'll admit
You got
it.
a rogue hair.
I do? Where? Oh, right here. One of my pet peeves, and I will say it is a big one, is places that purposefully misspell a word to sound cute or to alliterate. Like KWIK, I'll stab you. I will not shop at your Quick Stop when it's spelled KWIK. I know it sounds petty, but I've got standards. All right, did I get it?
Yeah. Is that where the praying guy is?
Where's the praying guy?
When you stop and get gas?
Oh, gosh. Yes, the gas station down the street from my house, where whenever I go to fill up, he's on the prayer mat with a 5-minute prayer break. All right, dude, I'm not waiting for you. Sorry. Anyway, let me tell you guys about, who do we want to talk about, Brock? Do I want to tell you about Genucel again? I might as well, because this is it. This is the last time. This is the last chance for you to get this magnificent skincare line that I use, right? And I think, I mean, for 55, I'm all right. I'm doing okay. I'm trying to hold it down. But this is literally, this is what it is. You order it, it comes in a bag, in a box, and it's got all of these great things. And by the way, their products last for months and months. It's all the thing. It's this whole thing. Hi, neckline lift system. Thank you. I do it every day. Every day. This is time for you to get your Genucel. Genucel.com/Wendy. You're going to get an extra special gift and free shipping. And if you use my name, Wendy, you're going to get 10% off. And the price for this has already been reduced 70%. It's like they're giving it to you, which is ridiculous. This is it. This is the last week to save over 70% off. Genucel's amazing skincare collection, the jawline treatment. Say goodbye to the turkey neck and the sagging jawline. When you order today, Genucel is going to include the Gen 90 for results you can see in minutes, not hours, plus the top-selling Genucel Deep Firming Vitamin C Serum included in the Essentials package. I mean, this is it. This is what I use. And I'm telling you this, I use it every single day. I use it every morning. I use it every night. And if you go to Genucel.com/Wendy, you're going to land exactly on my page where I get exactly that. And you're going to get it 80% off. Genucel.com/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy, for that extra 10% off and an extra special gift. Usually when they throw in an extra special gift, it's like a $40 thing. And you're like, bing, 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 bing. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, thank you for pointing out I had some, I got a lot of hair cut off. So now it's like, right. So where's everybody from? Talk to me. Who is new today? Who are you? 13.4, almost 13.5 here on Rumble. I'm delighted. Thanks to our friends for putting us in the big box. I know you're looking and saying, man, she deserves it every day. And I'm saying, how you doing? We moved to noon to 3 on Monday. Remember, 4 more days of this time slot, 9 to noon. So if you like what you get here, follow us noon to 3, starting on Monday, January 5th. Let's see what's going on. Are you seeing anything here, Brock, that you're liking? Hi, L Baby. Hi, Vic Byrne. What's up, Boston Dave? Boston Dave always knows what to say, Brock.
Nick Byrne, 454, Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
Couple from Connecticut.
Yes, I do see that.
Kentucky.
Jefferson, North Carolina, several. Ooh, Anchorage. Who's farther away than Anchorage, Alaska? Sport Desk chiming in at Toronto. Hi, so good to be with you. Thank you. Hi, Stephen G. What's up, Renee Evan?
Oh, this is the farthest. High Plains Drifter 1, Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, I'm with you. But are you listening to Pink Floyd while you're there? That's what I want to know.
Montana, Indiana, Missouri.
Oh, nice.
Iowa.
Oh, Janae, I hope so. I pissed some guy off yesterday, sent me a nasty gram. He was ticked off that I haven't been more respectful to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm like, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time on Marjorie Taylor Greene. We just basically called her out for flipping. That's fine. You do you. But now I don't have to talk about her anymore. And he's like, you lost me on that. And I was like, Happy New Year. Okay. What do you want me to do? Joe Spencer says Michigan is here. What's going on? Hi, lock him up now. Hi, Sam Joe. Sam Joe says, can't wait for 12 to 3. Thank you. Thank you.
Fort Myers.
Rubbing it in. Montana, Indiana,
like
Chillicothe,
Fort Myers.
Missouri. Yes, it is good. Happy New Year, Boston Dave. Right back at you, babe. Hi, Nance. What's going on, Liberty Bell and Julie Pace? Or Julie Pals. Let me see if I have my glasses on. Pals, I'm sorry. Amber, what's going on?
UK. Alan Mears. That's Mearsy. Newcastle, UK.
That's my boyfriend.
You guys have a Shiite show over there too.
Oh my gosh. At least the knife attacks have gone up. Right? Right?
And they're
'Cause
real
that makes
welcoming of
sense.
immigrants.
Yeah. Give you a little idea of what is coming up on the show. I really think you're going to enjoy one of our final segments. In hour number 3, another segment by Liz Collin from Alpha News. She is phenomenal. Look, we are the media now, ladies and gentlemen. Each one of you has all of the same skills and talents that one of the mainstream legacy media reporters or anchors has. And I can tell you because I was one for several decades, right? You know, there might be some connections in a newsroom to get phones answered faster, but we are showing every single day the value of the curious American taxpayer, of the fed up American, pincushion. We're the piggy bank that finances everything. And so commonly I find I wouldn't have voted for that. I wouldn't have paid for that. I wouldn't have rushed during COVID under the guise of a once in a lifetime global pandemic. Stay home, stay calm, right? I wouldn't have been like, you know what we need to do? I've got a great idea. Let's go out and spend a crap ton of money we don't have. That sounds fabulous. But these idiots did. And now they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, there's always some fraud and abuse. Did you guys hear that the Affordable Care Act has cost us upwards of $50 billion in fraud and billing issues and all sorts of other jazz? It's like, in what world should the federal government ever be in charge of anything if we want it to succeed? Just look at your local postal service. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so let's talk about this. The scramble to save face as Nick Shirley, a 23-year-old guy who was asking questions, exposed how incompetent not just Minnesotan lawmakers are, but a very absent AWOL media. Not interested in covering this, not interested in doing anything. They are so triggered and so reactionary to every move Donald Trump makes. There is no more time to, I don't know, have ingenuity, create your own storylines, go out and be curious, seek, hunt and peck, dig, expose. Remember how the media used to be? Well, that is we the people now. You and I are the new media. We have replaced the old people, the 60 Minutes, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. Look, I know your parents and grandparents might still read or watch those programs, but times are changing. Thank God. Here's this story. Minnesota's GOP now, state GOP, is not even mincing words. They're like, hey, Tim Walz, look, dude, it's been 6 years. You've sucked all 6. You give us empty rhetoric about, oh, it stops with me. I own this. I'll do something. You say that you created a task force or some other such nonsense. It's all the hamster wheel of suck with this guy. And now Minnesota Republicans are calling for Tim Walz to resign, flat out saying, you know what, dude, done. You're done. Story from Breitbart.com. Minnesota State Republicans have called for Governor Tim Walz to resign over billions of dollars in fraud. In fact, Minnesota State Senators Bill Leisky, Nathan Wessenberg, as well as Representatives Marge Fogelman, Drew Rourch, and Mike Weiner released a joint statement as reporters and government officials have uncovered untold fraud. I'm not so sure government officials is necessarily correct, but okay. Minnesotans have been watching the fraud crisis get worse and worse for years. This is the GOP to Tim Walz. It's gone on long enough. This isn't about politics or stunts, and we do not make a call like this lightly, but the office of the governor deserves respect. We've tried to give Governor Walz time to act. But leadership means nothing, means doing the right thing, even when it is difficult, which is why we're calling on Governor Walz to resign. We're talking about billions of dollars in fraud that should have gone to vulnerable Minnesotans. The red flags were everywhere, yet year after year, the fraud kept growing, and year after year, nothing changed. People in our districts raise the issue constantly. It is the number one issue we hear about. They want to know why nobody's being held accountable, right? True. They want to know when somebody's going to fix it. And they want to know why the governor isn't resigning. Well, what we are seeing from the governor is what nonfeasance looks like. Interesting choice of words. When a governor fails to do what he's required to do, when he watches a crisis spiral out of control, does nothing to stop it, that is nonfeasance. The governor had a duty to oversee his administration and protect these programs. He failed. There needs to be consequences. As I said yesterday, not tomorrow, not on Thursday, not next Friday, not by the midterms. Get it done, resign, move away, see you later, goodbye. For the good of the state, their letter to Tim Walz goes on. You should resign. You should step aside. Minnesota needs accountability, a reset, and new leadership that can get us back on the right track. The Republicans noted that Article 8, Section 6 of the Minnesota Constitution lists malfeasance as grounds for recalling executive officers. They said they're not currently launching a recall. They want him gone. It's the difference between a going away party and a go away party. Going away is like, keep in touch. Thanks for having me out for margaritas. I'll talk to you sometime soon, I hope. And a go away party is go away. Never come back. They're saying we're having a go away party for you, dude. I want you to hear MSNBC, now MS Now, Mara Gay. You guys remember that name. She's a hack on the New York Times editorial board. This is the woman who said when she saw flags, American flags on the back of pickup trucks, she felt threatened. Oh my gosh. It's just so patriotic. Oh, crazy whack jobbery here. Perfect guess for MSNBC as Jonathan Lemire is going to set up the story. Finally, MS Now is paying attention to this story. It's gone on long enough, and now they're like, well, dang it. All right, bring in that Mara check. She'll diffuse the situation. Well, she didn't. Here's the setup. Jonathan Lemire, the host, poo-pooing $9 billion in alleged fraud by saying that MAGA has glommed on to the rampant Minnesota fraud to distract from all of President Trump's failures. I'm not sure which ones those are, but let's listen in.
This week, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee expanded its investigation into the Medicaid fraud allegations there in Minnesota. That move coming days after the Assistant U.S. Attorney in Minnesota, who was appointed by President Trump this past summer, claimed widespread fraud across multiple state programs that could total more than $9 billion. Now, Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has very much disputed those figures. Earlier this month, he announced a new statewide fraud prevention program following scrutiny over fraud issues in the state. And Mara, this is a story that's really gained a lot of traction among conservative media members, among the MAGA folks online, including members of the Trump administration. Vice President J.D. Vance was posting about it the other day. There's a lot we don't know here just yet, but it gives off at least a sense, and we'll see where the facts take us. But at least we can safely say this. It seems like Republicans are eager to be talking about something else than a lot of the bad news surrounding the president right now.
I'm at a loss here. I don't recall the bad news. We were getting great numbers, economic numbers. We're having great success at the border. He's making progress with ending the war with Russia and Ukraine, right? I mean, where are we with what failure, what pressure, what problem, what Epstein? Are you out of your mind, Jonathan? And this isn't a MAGA thing that we're glomming onto. This is called theft. This is called the raping of the goodness of the American people. That's not a political thing. That's called an anti-American thing. We should rise as Americans, Jonathan, if you want to take off your liberal, communist, socialist, Marxist goggles. Now comes in the New York Times editorial babe Mara Gay. And this is how she's going to paint the scene. She says that the FBI and the DOJ investigation into rampant fraud, it's not really about getting ripped off, right? It's about politicization. Right.
Right. Well, sure. So these were funds that were meant to go to help feed hungry people during the COVID pandemic, to help keep people in their homes who were at risk of homelessness. So first of all, if there is fraud there, that should be fully investigated, no matter where it is, whether it's in a Democratic-led state, a Republican-led state. I mean, let's pull back. So absolutely, it should be investigated. The question is, why is this a priority in a different kind of way? The politicization of the DOJ and the FBI is undeniable.
Are you out of your mind? Yes, they are. Ladies and gentlemen, I say it all the time. There are some people who will not be saved. Maura, what's more important? Clawing back billions of dollars that are being stolen knowingly from us every year? That's been going on for at least a decade, which you're going to hear coming up in hour number 3. What's more important, that or trying to tarnish Donald Trump? Because if that's what you're seeing this as, girlfriend, you need an intervention. She continues, she says, whether the Somali people are involved in any way, apparently she's not been reading the news.
So whether they are reliable narrators is the big question. And this is what happens when you weaponize and politicize federal agencies that are not meant to be, politicized. And I think the American people are right to ask the question, well, can we trust you? And that's a sad thing to say as an American. Let's recall, too, that there's also other scandals in other states. For example, the Mississippi welfare scandal. And this is not unique to politics. Americans know that. But, of course, the other factor here is that because it looks like the Somali population in Minnesota, the Somali immigrant population may have been involved in some way, those people are being scapegoated, and that community is being scapegoated in a way that certainly serves the far right. And so that's also something to keep an eye on, and that's inappropriate.
Oh, Maura, you ignorant. Boop. I mean, come on. If the Somalian community is involved in some way, pal. She said that MAGA is using the Somalian community as a scapegoat. Well, see, there's a difference between scapegoat and scammer. A scapegoat is a person, group, or entity unfairly blamed for problems, mistakes, or negative outcomes that are not their fault, often to deflect responsibility from the true cause. Yeah, that's not what's going on here, sweetness. A scammer, instead, is a person who deceives others to gain money, information, or advantages through fraud, confidence tricks, or manipulation. Bing, 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 bing. Which one do you think is going on here, Mara, whatever the hell your name is? That is what you get if you happen to be unfortunate enough to have MSNBC pop up on your television screen. That is why 30% of this country, I say, won't be saved. Period. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, as Tom Emmer, demands answers from Tim Walz. Where were you, Tom? Citizen journalists in Washington State have some questions as well, and they're getting some answers. Oh boy, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Wow, is that bad? That was the woman who was super worried about, I feel unsafe. I'm in an area where there are a lot of rednecks driving pickup trucks that have flags on the back of them. Yeah, I'd be worried about that, you ignorant idiot. Go into the inner city of any blue run state. That's what you should be worried about, not flags and trucks. Scary, isn't it? All right, let's talk about bloodflow7.com. I love my bloodflow7.com. And you know what? Where is my... So I love that you guys send me testimonials about this product that I use every single day. If you are somebody who does something with some kind of regularity that involves stamina, whether there is a hill in your neighborhood that you quickly walk up, and it really, really wallops you, and you're out of breath, and you're huffing and puffing, or you do stuff in the yard or whatever, you lift weights, you run, I want you to try bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's nitric oxide that opens up your blood vessels so you have advanced blood flow in your body. And I'm going to tell you, you will recognize the difference within 3 hours. Within 3 hours, you'll start to feel a little bit different. Like, that's weird. Walk up that hill, do that exercise, do whatever it is that normally gasses you after you've taken a couple days of Blood Flow 7 and report back to me. Because all of a sudden, you're not huffing and puffing. All of a sudden, you're not stopping to catch your breath. All of a sudden, you're not like, woo, I am so tired. You're like, let's go. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Off the charts. I won't go a day without it. Now, I've ordered, and I have, and it's en route, I hope. I've ordered Alpha Gold Male, which is this, but for men, because it has stuff in there for testosterone, cortisol, and things that give you that man bod or the dad bod that you don't want. Blood Flow 7 for men. Alpha Gold Male is specifically formulated for men. It is a sister product to this. So there's actually a bundle you can get that has this and Alpha Gold. It's like less than $1 a day. You're welcome. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. You're going to want to email me. You're going to be like, you are my favorite person. And I'm going to be like, I know. Yes. How's everybody? What's going on out there? Let's see what we have. 2.54. That's a pretty good start. You guys are jamming. We have, holy mackerel, almost 15.6 watching live. Hi. If you're new, follow us. Just hit the button next to the WBR Army, the red button underneath the video box. Join us because we're trying to point whore and get to 100,000 followers by Easter. And yesterday we had 500 sign up. So we don't bother you or anything, but we do give you great programming. And if you are new, the pet show on the weekends with world-renowned veterinarian Dr. Mike Hutchinson, Brock hosts it, 10 o'clock Eastern, Saturdays. That is worth its weight in gold. You get to ask free questions of one of the finest men we've met and a phenomenal world-class veterinarian. How are you doing? I know, right? You are doing it on Saturday, right?
I believe so. Depends. He's in the Midwest right now if he can get back.
He's not tending to anybody's camels out in the Arab Emirates?
No.
He's their veterinarian.
He's the king's veterinarian.
I don't want to know what one has to do to make sure a camel is okay.
Feel their humps.
So the title of today's program, if I were to put everything kind of in a bubble every day, the 3 hours of this show, welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program, by the way. The title today is We Are the Media Now. And it really is. We are every single day. The information that you and I share, the things that you send me, the things I discuss on this program that you pick up either online through Rumble or on the radio or what have you, the way in which since COVID, you and I have found each other. And found other voices that we have decided because we've put them to the test, that we trust far more than we trust these news hacks who try to tell us every day that what we're seeing isn't really what we're seeing, and what we're seeing is a problem with Trump, right? This is the story. And now we've got citizen journalists, not just in Minnesota, but we've got internet sleuths, if you will, around the country digging into their own daycare, welfare, COVID era frauds where they live, and they're finding it. Here is Fox Chattanooga with this particular headline. Musk and Cruz react to internet sleuths looking for fraud following Minnesota scandal. This is the worst possible outcome. This is the worst possible outcome from people who hate us, right? The people who want to continue defrauding us and lying to us and being corrupt. They don't They don't want you knowing about it. Now, they can browbeat and bribe and blackmail people in the media. They can threaten the media to get in line or never get access to any information again, but they can't silence all of us. And that's the beautiful thing. So here's your story. Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Texas GOP Senator Ted Cruz reacted to internet sleuths on X looking on state government websites for potential fraud following the Minnesota scandal that was reported on earlier this week. It was reported last week that millions of taxpayer dollars were funding daycare centers in Minnesota that appeared to be vacant until yesterday when they started trucking in the kids, because that's not suspicious. Well, last week, independent journalist Nick Shirley released the video, yada, yada, Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis. Nothing is there, misspelled name, blah, blah, blah. Well, this person, Kristen Mag is her handle on X. She did some digging in her state of Washington, and she found there are 539 child care centers in Washington state that list Somali as the primary language. Most don't even give a street address. I don't know how many of these are submitting fraudulent claims for state grants and subsidies, but I have a strong hunch the number is not zero. And then she attaches a video of her going through a website that lists all the child care centers, with many not even having an address listed. Does that make sense to you? Is it serious that they've gotten away with this for so long because you and I have been busy? We've been living our lives, raising our kids, doing the best we can. And because we had no media paying attention because they're complicit and complacent with this, that it's grown to be such a ridiculous and obvious debacle. Yeah. I want you to hear the older millennial, though. He breaks it down and he's absolutely right. Listen.
I know just about everyone has seen the videos from Nick Shirley talking about what's happening with the Somali daycare centers in Minnesota. But did you know that in the state of Washington, there are 539 more Somali daycare centers? 539. Each receiving somewhere between $1.5 million to $4 million taxpayer money every year. Now, what do you think is going to happen when Nick catches a plane out to Washington? Do you think he's going to find that these Somali daycare centers actually have children there? Or do you think like me and you think he's going to find more of the same that he found in Minnesota? But like, I just want y'all to think about that for a second, because like when we think about government spending, we're like 1.4 million, 1.5 million, 4 million. That's not that much money. First of all, yes, it is, especially since we're talking about state taxpayer funds. But I want you to think about that number for a second. 539. And let's say all of them got the minimal funding. If they each only got the absolute minimal funding, that's $755 million. What's more likely is it's over $1 billion. That is $1 billion of your taxpayer money going to people who aren't actually running a daycare, or as they were in Minnesota, a leering center. So either you care about fraud, waste, and abuse, or you don't. And that'll be determined whether or not you want to speak up about this. But if you're not going to speak up about this very obvious fraud, you're not going to speak up about billions of dollars of waste. That is obvious. And could you do me a favor and just shut the up about everything else?
100%. You have a computer. You live somewhere other than where I do, other than Minnesota, other than Washington State. Go hunt your daycare providers' addresses down and let me know how many have you found that strangely have Somalian owners. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio program on tap. Next. Got a little long there, guys. Sorry, I was going to give you a teaser, but I didn't want to jam up my guy. So yeah, I mean, literally, all you have to do is a few quick edits, a few quick searches. Like those of us in Pennsylvania, this shouldn't be hard for us to do, right? To find out how many of these daycare centers are there, right? And then show us where they're listed, who owns them, what is the mailing address, what is the phone number for these particular entities, right? I'm sure our minds would be blown in any of these states, right? The media ain't going to do it. In fact, Scott Pressler is the one who drops the next bomb on us, which I think is fantastic.
Can we just get to, if we could only work on what's important to every American, or should be, let's put it that way,
I have to be a little bit more
in line with the majority of people. The majority of people are against fraud. The majority of people are for voter integrity. Like
voter ID.
Voter ID. Can we just start there? The majority of people want to get boys out of girls sports. You know, like, can we just start with the crap we can all agree on?
I agree. 100%. I've got hair coming out, guys. All right. Oh my gosh, 16.5 almost watching. All right, look, this is a great time to lose weight. Most people are like, I don't want to talk about it. It's not even New Year's. I'm with you. We'll give you till the end of the week. Let's go. But if you're finally ready, I want to say for $79 for the next 2 days, you're going to get the most extensive blood test you're ever going to have in your life. If you paid out of pocket for this, I don't even think you'd be able to. I don't think your physician would write a prescription for you to get 65 different biomarkers and all this hormone work done. I just don't think you'd ever get it. But that's what you get at bodybyAIM360.com. That's where Brock lost his 70 pounds. And the thing about this blood work is $79 for new patients. It's ridiculous. This is the beginning of you figuring out why is it that when you eat these foods and you think they're good for you, you never move the needle. Why does the scale never change? Why is it over the age of 50? I can't lose 6 pounds. Why can't I lose 30 pounds? What happened? Well, things in your body change. This blood test identifies that, and it gives Dr. Dubiak a blueprint about your health future and what you should be eating and doing. It's freaking fascinating. $79. It is a gift and a blessing to you. It's the best money you're going to spend today. Unless you buy blood flow, which then we might have a toss up. Anyway, bodybyAIM360.com. It is, wow. How else did I find out that I have high testosterone? I know. Shocker, right? BodybyAIM360.com, 412-227-9255. I've watched, I will say, dozens of people lose collectively thousands of pounds with Dr. Dubiak, and it happens fast. And you don't have to take a shot. You can do it yourself. You can take a shot if you want, and he can help you with that too. BodybyAIM360.com. I'm so glad you're here. 17,000 high. You know, usually, so yesterday they dumped out of the big box and dropped me. I mean, who would drop me? Right? But they did. We've hit 17,000, Brock.
What?
We've hit 17,000 and climbing. I think they like us. I was just repeating, though, that yesterday at about 10:15, Rumble went, wouldn't want to be out, and ripped it out from us.
We are now over 78.9. Can we hit 79 today?
I would love that, you guys. So
and
if
maybe 80 by the end of the year.
That would be.
Oh, wait. I don't know. Am I doing a show this Saturday? I'll have to find out.
I love it. I love it. So please follow us. And if you haven't yet rumbled, that's that little thumbs up button. Did you hear Nick Shirley does that too? I was like, why? Who was the one? Caroline Levitt does it. If you just hit that button, it'll all work out. And I'm like, I think my parents did the same thing because I used to say like, and I was like, and she was all, and he was like, and I was all, and like, oh my God.
Well, you were a valley girl.
I wasn't a valley girl, but I lived in the valley.
Well,
I don't know. I was not a valley girl.
You went to the mall.
No, I didn't. Do you really see me going to the mall?
You worked at the mall.
No,
you worked at Foot Locker.
I did work at Foot Locker. I sold sneakers like nobody's business.
Foot Locker, Hooters.
Do you know how many men feel sorry for you when you're a young girl and you work at Foot Locker? They're like, here, come on over here.
It worked for your foot fetish.
Ew. You're disturbing on many levels. See what I have to deal with? So anyway, we are in a commercial break right now, and I think that they just dumped us from the big box.
Yeah, Wendy was a Hooters girl.
Yes, I worked at Hooters. I like to say it was because of my legs.
It was. That was the original DEI hire.
Yes, that was where we all felt sympathy. Yeah.
We're still in the big box.
Felt sympathy for me.
Oh, maybe not.
No. It's good to be here, guys. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Pod Racer. What's going on? DK Crisp, 56. Alexander Patrocius. Patrocius? Well, I got to get my glasses on. Patroclus. I don't know what that means. Wanna Keeper, hello. Rooster Man from Auburn, Washington. Hello, Montana. Hello, Idaho, California, North Carolina.
Harriet Hagman's going to be a girlfriend for me.
She's pretty delicious.
Yeah.
I'll say that. She's smart. She's capable. She's consistent.
Banjo pants. Sorry I'm late, Wendy. Where have you been?
You know what?
Yeah.
Excuses,
Where have you been?
results. Simple as that. Thanks for being here, you guys. All right, here we come out of a break. Let's hang out. All right, did we get to 3 yet? Close, 50 to hit 3,000. That's nuts. All right, let's talk hour number 2, guys.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back, my friends. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. WendyBellRadio.com is how you follow along the live video stream. If you want to get the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast, just plug in our name, Wendy Bell Radio, and join our family as we march towards 7 million podcast downloads. It's amazing. Okay. Can we all agree that states that don't want to share with the federal government their voter roll information aren't just being obstreperous? They're hiding something. Yes or no? Yes, right? Right. Can we also say states that don't want to share and go to court to sue so they don't have to share the information about who is receiving food assistance, SNAP benefits? Can we all agree that that's not because these particular states don't want to communicate with the Trump administration? It's that they're hiding how many people who have no business basically sucking off the teat of our generosity are doing so in their individual states. Yes? Yes. Can we also agree that we were all browbeaten into silence? It's the big lie. If anybody said anything about 2020, the knives came out after you. I'm not going to litigate that today. Why? It's very easy to pay attention to the narrative that the Democrat Party, Uniparty, deep state want us to believe and then employ the media, the legacy media, which now nobody trusts anymore, to try to advance that narrative. Well, now we have citizen journalists advancing other narratives, exposing other stories, breaking down what really happened. What happened in East Palestine, Ohio, after some complete dope was like, you know what? I know that's a lot of toxic chemicals in that railroad tanker, but I think the best strategy, let's not try to drain it and offload it safely. Let's light it up. Earl, hey, Earl, get over here. Hey, I got this great idea, okay? Hear me out. Like, I know, but I think it'll be great. It'll be warm. It's winter. It'll create a good fireball. Everybody will get toasty. Let's light it up. Oh, lo and behold, what? All your fish are dying. All the deer are dying. People are coughing. Their eyes and lungs are burning. Everything's fine. We've been through this before. Scott Pressler breaking this story to the rest of America about Minnesota yesterday. And this is just baffling to me. Can you imagine going to your election precinct? You're there, you're going to cast your vote. It's general election day, midterms, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, I'm ready to vote. Nobody cares about your signature. Nobody asks about your identification, right? They're not interested because they don't have to be. You just go and you vote. But in Minnesota, you can go with 8 people you don't know and be like, I'd like these 8 people to vote too. I'm sorry? Yeah. I vouch for them. I believe in them. These are American citizens. They're here to vote. Why aren't they registered? Well, we're going to register to vote right now, and they're going to vote right now if that's cool with you. Absolutely. Wait. That's not really going on, is it? Actually, it is. Scott Pressler, Pennsylvania treasurer. I'm adopting him since he's become a Pennsylvanian. This is the guy who basically flipped Pennsylvania from blue to red with voter registration. Huge. Minnesota voter fraud. You know, all of this stuff is going to be the ripple effect of what we know about the Somalians, right? This is the form used to vouch up to 8 voters on election day for people who don't have IDs. If you read it closely, it says this is a legitimate election document from the Office of the Minnesota Secretary of State. It says precinct list of persons vouching. Okay? This is legal. This is Minnesota law, which means that there should be a paper trail of every single one of these individual vouching forms. How many people serve as vouchers each election? How many people, if every Minnesota voter can vouch for 8 others, like who thought that was a good idea? Who was like, that sounds totally on the up and up? Nobody. So we need to begin submitting data practice requests to the Minnesota Secretary of State. This is a huge story. And I was like, wait a minute, is there more information about this? This can't be possible. Oh, it's possible, and it's happening. Here you go. Minnesota lets voters vouch for up to 8 others as fraud scandals fuel calls for federal crackdown. You know, what's going on in these sanctuary states and these sanctuary cities, it's not really sanctuary. It's cover for fraud and corruption to a degree that I think would make your face melt off. That's what it is. That's what sanctuary is. Come here if you want to be protected from the truth. Come here if you want to do something that screws over America. We will shield you. We will protect you. If you signed as Mickey Mouse, they're not going to find you, says a gentleman in the story. Well, fresh attention is being drawn to a Minnesota election policy that allows a registered voter to vouch for up to 8 other people who are looking for same-day voter registration. So weird how this is allowed, isn't it? The scrutiny comes as the Walz administration confronts hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, 9 to 20 billion lost to social services fraud tied to the state's Somali immigrant community. Critics pointed to a further wrinkle in Minnesota state law signed by Tim Walz in 2023, isn't that so interesting, that provides for driver's licenses for all, regardless of immigration status. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Doesn't that feel strange? It feels so weird to me. Driver's licenses for all. The policy also stipulates that the licenses carry no markings indicating citizenship, even though such IDs are commonly used to do what? Oh, that's right. Register to vote. Not one single person's voting in our elections who's an illegal alien, right? Under Minnesota law. A registered voter can vouch for up to 8 other voters' residency, want to sign up for same-day voter registration without an ID. The registered voter then must go with the person or the people to the polling place and sign an oath verifying their address. This is like the judge in North Carolina who bounced DeCarlo Brown Jr. before he sliced Irina Zarutska's neck, right? She made him sign a promise. Just promise you'll come back to my courtroom in 6 months. I'm going to let you go, but pinky swear you'll come back. Really? So in Minnesota, all you have to do is be like, yeah, I swear that's my address. So help me God, right? What could go wrong? Unvouched for residents who want to vote same day must provide at least one form of identity verification. Oh, including a valid Minnesota license or learner's permit. Is that why we're doing universal driver's licenses for all governor balls? Huh. So long as the prospective voter can prove residency, the proof of ID can be a driver's license, a learner's permit from any of the 50 states. What? Any of the 50 states? I seem to remember, bing, 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 bing. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Oh, that's right. It was last week. New York City driving school rigged driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, even if they couldn't drive. Huh. It all seems so clearly connected, doesn't it? Get a driver's license from other state or a learner's permit. And by the way, we won't talk about all of the people taking bribes so that folks don't even get in the car and take a driver's test before they get a license. Chew on that for a minute. And then you can go to Minnesota and you can go with somebody who's like, I know these people. That's totally where they live. All right, it's decided. I trust you. These 8 people who totally don't look like Americans, welcome. Here's your ballot. How do you guys feel about that? Because that's what's going on. That's not me saying it. That's not, I wonder if they have problems with voter fraud. You think? You think? Yes. It's always about the math. It's about the bodies that can pull the lever or the bogus mail-in ballots that they can flood. As we told you back in 2020, we found it quite curious that the state of Pennsylvania, the land before time, which we call home, sent out 1.7 million absentee ballots, mail-in ballots in 2020. But they counted 2.5 million. It's odd, isn't it? I'm sure it's just something. I'm sure my math is wrong or something else is going on. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Vouch for people you don't know. Yeah, that's totally their house. Look, it's on their ID. Wait a minute. Where do you get an ID? Anywhere you want. That is why the driver's schools, the driver's license scams, all of the CDL mumbo jumbo, it's all connected. And you know what? Mainstream media didn't tell us so. You are the new media now. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, CBS News begrudgingly kicking and screaming finally covers the Minneapolis fraud story. Yeah, not the way we would have liked, though. Let's go. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I am going to do something I don't normally do.
Remind people that we're here New Year's Day.
We are here all this week. We are here all this week. I'm going to go get more coffee. I know, right?
Wow.
Totally living on the edge. Ugh, I'll be right back.
We will be here to ring in the new year with you all. And then Monday we start noon to 3. I don't know what time the show will be up. That's all depending on us putting the show together, what time we start to do that, and what time it all comes together. So Depends what time Wendy gives me a title. I had said that, starting Monday, noon to 3. I don't know what time the show will be put up.
Well, I think if we were to just by rule of thumb kind of figure it would be 3 hours past when we normally do. I don't know. I know you guys love to chat.
So I'm thinking probably by 9:30 every day, it'll probably be up.
I bet you before that.
I'm giving us some leeway. They're going to hold you to whatever you say, and
No,
then
they
I'm
won't.
going to be the one that has to deal
they
with it.
won't. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. If you live in Western Pennsylvania, at least one benefit. Nobody picks up the dead car or the garbage on the side of the road, but you do have access to Ireland Contracting. These are the home exterior renovation guys that we love and trust. The only company that I would ever use. That's them. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. Roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, downspouts, skylights, windows. All of it. They do it. If it's on the outside of your house, they can do it. And their son Dan does some interior electrical work too, if you want him.
After Wendy.
I just demand him at the first thaw, he will do my landscape lights. Damn it. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I love them. Let's see. 3.19. Look at you go. 12,000 hanging in. I love having you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you imagine?
49 away from 79K too.
If you haven't hit the follow button next to the thumbs up and the army button next to the red button, that would be awesome because we are definitely trying to get 100,000 views. And if we could end the year
with 80,
it's a tall ask.
Yeah,
we'd have to get 500 a day and 500 tomorrow. I think you can do it.
No.
You would do it. Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
No, we need 50 today.
To get to what? 78.
79.
79. And then you need another 1,000.
So we have 3 days to do.
No, you don't. You have one today and tomorrow.
Today's Tuesday.
I'm talking about the new year. At the end of the year. The end of the year is tomorrow. It's very hard to get good help these days, you guys. I know.
I'm talking about the end of the week. The new year starts January 5th.
Oh, that's how you're going to do it. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Rumble for a guy who has to put up with this.
Aw, that's not very friendly. Huh.
Pity me.
Back to the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. I'm going to play this CBS News report for you because they're pissed. They're like, the network, right? Seriously, we have to talk about this. I want to shake these reporters and be like, anybody who's alleging that this is some like MAGA thing, that the right wing is glomming onto this fraud story out of Minnesota that's like as a distraction from Donald Trump's failures. All of those failures. I hate this country under Donald Trump. I hate safe borders. I hate drugs off the street, people getting cleaned up, deported. I hate when Maryland man, human smuggling, wife-beating MS-13 gangbangers are deported to CCOT. I voted for that, right? I voted for gas prices to come down. I voted for transparency. I voted for tariffs and trade. I voted for other countries to pay their fair share, right? So don't tell us that this is a MAGA thing. This is an American thing. And if you're on the left or you're a member of the media, I know, same thing, and you're not for this being exposed, Houston, you've got a problem. This driving school out of Queens, T&D driving school, right? That was busted in New York City in this Operation Road Test. What did they do? They found that this driving school blatantly flouted the laws and procedures that are necessary to ensure the public safety on the road. And they basically let anybody and everybody who had some cash, whether or not they ever got behind the wheel of a car, to get a license, regardless of immigration status or a learner's permit, Just give me the money. And then what do those people go do? Oh, you mean vote? What? They do not. It was the safest, most secure election ever. Okay. Here's CBS. I want you to hear how they literally kicking and screaming. This is an investigative reporter guy who is a snob. And he's like, I highly doubt like some punk kid YouTuber has all of the evidence here. Well, he has a lot more than you do, you clown. What have you been doing at CBS on your I team besides, I don't know, hoping and praying for some kind of Trump connection to Epstein? Here's CBS News.
Well, the federal fraud investigation in Minnesota took a new turn today. This time, agents are zeroing in on daycare centers and health clinics after a viral video touched off a firestorm. CBS News Minnesota's Jonah Kaplan puts that video into context.
Amidst the bitter cold, Minnesota is again feeling the heat from Washington. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem sharing this video today showing federal agents at several child care centers investigating allegations of fraud.
Healthcare here, healthcare right here.
The tips aren't from the FBI. They're from a video posted this weekend by YouTuber Nick Shirley, which was seen more than 100 million times.
While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously.
State officials today also visiting some of the sites and told CBS News 2 centers had already shut down earlier this year. CBS News also reviewed nearly a dozen daycares mentioned by Shirley. All but 2 have active licenses, and some were inspected as recently as 3 weeks ago. Many centers, like this one in South Minneapolis, were cited and fined for safety violations, but investigators found no evidence of fraud. Daycares aside, the land of 10,000 lakes has been reeling from what prosecutors warn is a $9 billion COVID-era fraud scandal. Earlier this month, CBS News detailed how a group of convicted fraudsters stole $250 million of taxpayer money from a state-run program meant to help feed vulnerable children during the pandemic.
Fraud is not small. It isn't isolated. The magnitude cannot be overstated.
The majority of those arrested in the scheme were Somali Americans. Minnesota has the nation's largest Somali population.
There are 14 specific programs funded by Medicaid in Minnesota that are currently under federal and state investigation, identified as high risk for fraud. Daycare is not one of them.
Oh, my goodness. So you come out to tell us, well, it's really not that big of a deal. They found no evidence of fraud when inspectors came to look at the daycare. You know what the burning question there is? Did they find evidence of kids? How about that? Did you see any kids? Tell me what you saw. Did anybody ask any questions? Where are the kids? You have to go during business hours, I would presume. Or why else would you inspect them? What are your results? And why is it that CBS News is kicking and screaming? Because some punk kid who's 23 years old, some YouTuber guy, we have some questions about his methods. What's the method? Knocking on a door, asking questions, and being escorted off of the premises by the police that the Somalians called on you for trespassing. This is why I say it is official. The switch of media is now complete. The legacy mainstream media are completely and wholly irrelevant. You are the new media now. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I want to talk about the media now as America wakes up and starts doing its own digging. This is interesting, hearing the wake up. It's like COVID all over again. I'll explain next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I will say
they're like a day late and 5 years short.
One of the things that Trump did that set the tone, fake news, set the tone.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Well, and I think
and you guys out there, you killed the media too. You know, I think everybody has. When you stop watching, you kill them.
Yeah.
Because they go strictly by, they don't care about the news story. They go strictly by
The
how many
ratings and the
views they
numbers
get.
and the advertising.
They're
That's it.
no different than a podcaster, a YouTuber, a Rumbler. No different. They go by the numbers because that's what their advertising goes by. So that when you stop watching them, you essentially killed them. You killed late night. You killed the news.
You guys also killed movies.
Yes.
You killed movies. You killed Disney. Honestly, how many families were like, mine was one of them, right? I want to tell you guys about Healthy Cell. Healthy Cell is a company that is a sponsor of this program. But it's more than that. And if you're new, I don't just talk about businesses and say, go buy from them. Like, I'm a customer of theirs. I use the products at Healthy Cell. And I think it's super important to identify that over the age of 50, we don't digest supplements that we take orally, like pills and capsules and whatnot. It's harder for us to get the nutrients the supplements provide us. And so a Healthy Cell, knowing this, created a way different avenue to get their supplements into your body. They put them in a gel, right? So think about not quite a Jell-O, but something like an applesauce or a Go-Gurt or something like that. You would squeeze up just like this. And that's what Healthy Cell did. They put their supplements, and there's like, I don't know, 15 different formulas. This is Calm Mood. Can you imagine being able to just be like, say you're at the on the job, right? And you've got a presentation and you're super freaked out about it. You're like, I'm going to lose my mind. Calm Mood. Okay, I'm not taking a Xanax. You have a hard time sleeping. Well, rather than taking sleeping pills or rolling the dice on melatonin or whatever, which is great, why wouldn't you take REM sleep? REM sleep is the sleep supplement here from Healthy Cell. Suck that bad boy in 30 minutes before you go to sleep, and nighty-night, right? Focus and recall, hair, skin, and nails, cardiovascular, blood pressure, blood sugar, the number of things, and now bone strength, bone health. You're a woman like I am, maybe over the age of 50 like I am. You're worried about osteoporosis, bone brittleness, all of that stuff. You should be, right? Doesn't matter if you drink a cow every day. You can still have brittle bones. There's a formula for that. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. I love this company. Love. I'll say I've never taken a Calm Mood, though. I don't know. I don't want to be like, too, like, how you doing on the show with you. But today is my stressful day, so I'm going to take it home with me. Bye.
Think of all the things that, and you guys will probably think of things left and right, of just by not interacting, you've killed. Just by not interacting. Like I said, the media, movies.
LGBT stuff, push back against that, kind of walked away from that.
You don't care if you're called a racist anymore. You don't care if you're called Islamophobic or bigot or anything. You don't care. The fact that you not caring kills them, bothers them more. It's not paying attention to the liberals. It bothers them. You know, it schools, because you did care. The shutting down of schools because when you had your kids home, you started to actually see what they were seeing on the Zoom calls.
My kids got very good at cheating. I was like, that really bothers me. And they're like, I get it.
Hopefully no one's watching from the school.
No, but everybody cheats.
Right.
Right? And it's great. We're going to teach you how to circumvent the system.
Well, in fairness, you know, you get outside of school, life is an open book test. You have access to try to figure things out. So, like, I never understood the memorization of crap just to forget it after the test. COVID was a huge wake up for people like me in the media. I started looking around and watching people rip and read these numbers, and that I was like, what? You people are thinking
There's
not critically at all.
no critical thought with a lot of this stuff, and it's just kind of wild.
Yeah, you just don't care what they call you anymore. Whatever. It's almost said in jest now. Racist. Homophobic.
That Disney was dead was when there was a picture in the paper or online of a guy dressed in one of those like Cinderella dresses at the Magic Kingdom, right? And this is like a hairy dude with like schnurgles of chest hair coming out of the bodice of the dress. He's got long satin gloves on. He's holding a wand. He's got a full beard and lipstick. And I'm like, that's freaking weird. You're losing the American family. You do not have the ability to lose the American family and stay afloat. I cannot tell you a quick search through any of my sources here to try to quickly come up with a digit, a number loss. The theme that there are Disney movies that were flops because they tried to introduce storylines, but we're like, no, you cannot do that. We will not, as the parents of these United States, support you going woke. And the pushback against Ron DeSantis when he was like, look, can we just get sexual talk out of the curriculum for kids under the age of, what, 12? Is that a huge ask? And then they're like, it's a don't say gay bill. And he's like, it doesn't even say gay at all. It just says no sexual talk at all until kids hit middle school. Can we all agree on that? No, this like hypersexualization, this super weird pushing of men being women. It was creepy. And I will tell you, my family never went back. We loved Disney. We took our kids there probably 15, maybe 20 times. And as a family of 7, that ain't cheap. Never again. And sometimes my kids say, you know what? It would be really fun to go back. It would be fun to go back like old times. It's been a decade. It's too soon. You guys did that to Disney. You did that to Nike. You did that to Starbucks. You did that to Liberty Safe. You did that to these companies that decided to fall on the woke altar and give their lives to this new, completely deranged ideology. And the prudent American values of common sense America push back. I don't know if Disney comes back. I know their ticket sales have crashed. I know their movie sales are suck. They lost $1 billion in some of their crap because they can't read the room. I just don't understand. How do you not read the room? There is no little girl who's excited to run to the Magic Kingdom, to the castle, for a 45-minute princess birthday party, who wants to be greeted by a dude with a beard, red lipstick, and a freaking hairy chest squeezed into a princess dress. In no world. Well, that makes you transphobic. No, that makes me honest. Because that's creepy. And it's gross. And you freaking know it. And you won't get me to shut up about it. That's what they did. They Disneyfied us. Right? They take something that was wholesome, that was good, that worked, and they mucked it up. They changed it all around. Why would you do that? So as I say, we are the media now, as America has awakened in the last 5-10 years for sure. We're certainly more responsible, more capable, more apt to do our own research, right? And I still get caught. I'll repost something that ticks me off, and then I hear down the, I should have read the comments. Oh, that's a parody account. Damn it, right? You can still get caught, but it doesn't take a whole lot to do a little bit of digging and figure out where you really stand and identify who really sucks. I want you to see this man. He calls out one of these Somali-run daycares. He calls him on the phone, right? He plays some of Nick Shirley's video, knocking on the doors like nobody else was doing. And then he decides to isolate one of the places that Nick Shirley visited. And it's a place called Sweet Angel Childcare. And this is just some guy. He's got no skin in the game, but he's like, that's super interesting. I wonder if I call one of these daycares that's Somali run, are they going to answer the phone? So he makes the call. Listen.
So guys, this is absolutely mind-blowing. So I was watching the most recent video by Nick Shirley exposing these daycare centers. Now, they're going daycare to daycare, and the next one that they go to is called Sweet Angel Childcare. This is where they show up to. And this is the business right here. Sweet Angel Childcare in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, listen to where this phone number goes to when you call this childcare center. Just wait for it.
Thank you for contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. Our office is located at 130 State Capitol at 75 Reverend.
Oh my God. I'll do it again. Sweet Angel Childcare. It goes to Governor Tim Walz's office. Why is a child care center directly going to the office of the governor? Make it make sense. Hold on.
Thank you for contacting the office of Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan.
If this is not a direct link to Tim Walz and these fraudulent child care centers, I don't know what else is. Bro, this is crazy. I'm just in shock right now. I was recording a YouTube video and reacting to this video, and I was like, let me call and look up their Google reviews. I was just looking up their Google reviews, and I was like, let me call this number. And I call it, and it goes to Governor Tim Walz's office. Make that make sense.
Make it make sense. Well, this Sweet Angel Childcare has had some serious problems in the past. How about on December 4th? This is public Minnesota DHS licensed renewal reviews. The Sweet Angel Childcare Center in Minneapolis, run by Somalis, is cited for having hazardous objects accessible to children. It's a problem, choking hazard. Children had no access to hygiene. I'm sorry? Does that mean there's no toilet? There's no running water? There is no hand washing station at this childcare. No CPR, no first aid training. In fact, in 2024, there was no immunization documentation, no emergency preparedness plans. Furniture was in poor repair. Rugs were in bad condition. There was no child supervision. Hey, Brock, what are you supposed to do at a child care center? What's your job?
I would say watch the children would be number one.
Well, that's number one. There was no child freaking supervision. Hazardous objects, again, visible. Dietary plans not obtained. Infant diaper and feeding stations non-existent. It's almost like it doesn't function as a child care center. Bing, 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 bing. So why is the phone number being routed to Tim Walz's office? These violations have continued to be repeated since 2022, and they are publicly visible on Minnesota's DHS site. The business not only is still in business, it is still receiving taxpayer-paid investment funds from the state of Minnesota. Now, multiply that by hundreds of locations. Minnesota Speaker of the House, Lisa Demuth, says, you know what? I've got 6 ideas, 6 things we want Tim Walz to do, 6 things we, as the governance of the state of Minnesota, want this governor to do. You ready?
The first would be to release the documents related to fraud that have been requested by the media and the fraud committee, as well as other legislators. As a point of note, the Star Tribune reported many of the data requests related to potential fraud have not been released by the Walz administration, both to the media or to legislators.
Now, what does that mean to you guys? If people don't release records, does that usually mean they're being transparent, or they're trying to hide, stonewall slow walk, run out the clock, hope you forget and move away? No. Where are the documents? Release the documents. She continues. Also, we want to see all of the results of your inspections. Who visited these facilities and when, and what did you find inside?
Secondly, we would like the Walz administration to release any available records related to inspections of sites identified in the viral video. Third, we would like the Walz administration to redirect available resources to unannounced in-person site visits.
You know, you're supposed to be toured once a year, or new facilities are supposed to be toured 4 times, and you should show up unannounced, correct? Not, hey, Sheila. Hey, it's Pat over at DHS. Yeah, we're going to come by Tuesday at about 9, so make sure everything's okay, okay? All right, sweetheart. Yeah, I'll see you at pickleball later. Bye-bye. You show up unannounced if you're actually performing your job. But again, I can find no numbers of paid employees in Minnesota who are knocking on the doors and inspecting these facilities. If it's even happening, release the documents, Governor Walz. Finally, or 2 more to go, the Walz administration should share all of its information about the NGOs, the House Speaker says from Minnesota. Listen.
Next, we would like the Walz administration to conduct a full review of money directed to NGOs by state agencies. That's as basic as confirming the IRS status, cross-checking for connections, or connections to the indicted or suspected fraudsters, and more.
How many of the Somalians who've been ripping off Minnesota are also connected to the NGOs that are also getting money from Minnesota? How many of these people are double, triple, quadruple dipping? Getting absolutely loaded, and you're paying for it. And then finally, stop giving any money to any of these programs in the state of Minnesota until Tim Walz can give us the goods. Makes sense to me. How about you guys?
Next, we would like the Walz administration to consider stopping payments in the other 13 high-risk programs. And finally, Governor Walz should also ask Attorney General Ellison to withdraw his lawsuit against the feds that is seeking to stop the redetermination process being pushed for by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It really begs the question of why is Attorney General Ellison filing lawsuits against the feds instead of working with them to root up fraud?
Huh. That is the $18 billion question, isn't it? It's like it's almost all right there in front of you. The media won't share it with you, but you see it, right? Meantime, as we were busy paying attention to all things Minnesota, Somalia, all things grifty, grafty, something pretty big happened in Venezuela. Did you guys hear about this? Apparently, the president and his administration have accelerated the heat on Nicolas Maduro. A land attack. What happened that we know of next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. You know what? I would have a very difficult time with the slow speed with which anything happens in politics. We would really like if you would give us your documents. Next, I'm like, I want to choke somebody and throw them down the freaking stairs. How about we start with that? And then as he's down at the base of the stairs, then we ask for all these documents, right? We'll get some Trende Ragua. They're good with drills, power drills and hands and stuff like that. I bet you we can get some documents.
I wonder why they can't go in and just take them.
I don't know, right? Where's the balls of the federal government? Or is that all like imagined? Simkovich Concussion Institute, very special place in our hearts because we know people who have been healed by Dr. Simkovich. These are people who have had traumatic brain injuries by accident, playing sports, in war, what have you, who suffer a traumatic brain injury, a concussion, and know that they're not right. And you can sense it in your personality. You can sense it in your agitation. You can feel it when you can't remember things, when every day is a slog. It does not have to be like that. And look, there are so many other ways to be cured by Dr. Simkovich that is beyond a blow to the head. Because people who, for whatever reason, suffer from chronic headaches, chronic migraines, they get relief by going through this therapy with Dr. Simkovich. Our friend with really bad tremors, hands shaking, she really struggled, went to Dr. Simkovich and got almost immediate relief, didn't expect anything. And after the first hour was like skipping out of his office, feeling a way I'm not so sure she's felt in decades, right? This is what he does. This is what Dr. Simkovich does. 412-366-3700. I don't believe in magic, but I believe in getting your life back. And Dr. Simkovich does that and has for thousands upon thousands of people. 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. It works. It matters. All of it matters. Wow.
Fast or slow for you?
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
Pretty fast. You guys are a lot of fun to show up for. And those of you who've been along for the ride from the beginning, I'm so delighted that you have been. And if you're new, I'm so thrilled that you found us. So thank you. Thank you.
We're here all week. Tip your waitress. Try the veal.
Tip your waitress. Try the veal.
Yeah. Better to digest this veal than the crap that they're feeding us.
That's called roadkill.
Yeah.
Has his eyes on everybody in the world. I appreciate greatly that he sees all of the various countries and sees danger, be it the massacre of Christians and moderate Muslims in Nigeria, you know, whether it's wars in Europe or what have you, where millions of people have died, thousands, tens of thousands of people have died. I appreciate that. I appreciate the idea that we don't want drugs in our country. And it's such a contrast from what we saw under Joe Biden. And I remember when John Fetterman, before his stroke, when he was lieutenant governor of the state of Pennsylvania, if you would go to Harrisburg outside the lieutenant governor's office, and it was a pretty big balcony, he had a huge flag, two of them. Not the American flag, mind you, the obnoxiously hideous, because it's got brown and black in it, American LGBTQ flag, right? And also the marijuana flag. Nothing says, woohoo, I love my people, like a giant marijuana leaf flying outside, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm no prude. But what the hell is that? And then his number one objective during his first several months as lieutenant governor, before he became senator, obviously, was to travel around Pennsylvania's 67 counties and gauge the feeling of total legalized marijuana and how everybody feels about that. I'm worried about other things, John. I'm worried about a lot of other things. I don't need my kids having any more excuses to get their hands on stuff. Period. Trump means business, and he is at war. He is at war with the cartels. He is at war with Nicolas Maduro, and he's trying to squeeze the president of Venezuela, who he has called the head of the Cartel de los Soles, right? He's labeled them a foreign terrorist organization, and Maduro, the head of it, run by Tren de Aragua, who were welcomed into this country under Joe Biden. Thanks, Joe, and your auto pen, right? Donald Trump is launching this squeeze play. Hey, Nick, how about you slither away into the sunset? I'm sure somebody else will take you in their country. But the people of Venezuela want a new election, a fair election. They want their country back. They're tired of the way that you are living. Well, CIA carried out a drone strike on port facility on Venezuelan coast. This is what CNN is reporting today. The CIA carried out a drone strike earlier this month on a port facility on the coast of Venezuela. Sources familiar with the matter told CNN. Why don't you? How hard is it to get something on the record here? It was marking the first known U.S. attack on a target inside the country. The drone strike, the details of which have not been previously reported, targeted a remote dock on the Venezuelan coast that the U.S. government believed was being used by the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, to store drugs and move them onto boats for shipping. The sources said no one was present at the facility at the time it was struck, so there were no casualties, according to the sources. Two sources said U.S. Special Operations Forces provided intelligence support in the operation, underscoring their continued involvement in the region. But Colonel Ali Weisskopf, spokesperson for the U.S. Special Operations Command, denied that, saying Special Operations did not support this operation to include intel support. Does CNN have any kind of exclusive at all? I don't know. Doesn't really feel like it. In one sentence, they contradicted their own reporting. Oh, the CIA did this with Special Operations, and then Special Operations is like, yeah, no, that wasn't us. Okay, so what happened? Well, President Trump appeared to first acknowledge the attacks in an interview last week that initially attracted little notice, though he offered few specifics, including when reporters asked directly about it on Monday. The strike could significantly escalate tensions between the U.S. and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, blah, 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 who the U.S. has been pressuring to step down. So we've got CNN here. This just in. Breaking news, exclusive report. Oh my gosh. Trump CIA is bombing inside Venezuela using special ops. Special ops say it wasn't them, and the CIA says, yeah, that wasn't us either, and Trump won't say who it was. But other than that, it's super duper interesting breaking news, isn't it? You are the new media now. President Trump, by deeming it fake news years ago, opened the door to what you and I have been doing. Effectively canceling the subscriptions, turning off the television, no longer getting their podcasts or the reporters, and believing other people instead. I don't know, like Nick Shirley, right? Nick Sorter, or many others. You did that. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this. It's been going on in Minneapolis for at least 10 years. This fraud is nothing new. Hear from a whistleblower inside Homeland Security investigations. What next? I love this guy, too. He's super interesting. Liz Collin has been a national treasure as well. Just going to say that. All right, time is now. The time is now. thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I feel naked without it. I left my orange shaker at my friend's house. But I did make off with her coat, which was good. But I left my thing, so I'm not drinking it today. Look, when a world-renowned surgeon who does child heart transplants, I'm going to go with, that's a pretty big job. When he creates a drink mix and says that he drank it and lost 70 pounds in so doing, are you interested? Because I am. I am. And when you go to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy, you're going to be bounced onto a video. And the video that Dr. Gundry puts out is fantastic because it gives you a lot of insight into things that you're probably doing that you think is good for you. That's not good for you. And then he's like, all right, I've got the ultimate drink mix for you. It's a meal supplement. Instead of having lunch, instead of having breakfast, drink a scoop of this. Put it in some nice cool water, throw some ice in there and enjoy that. It's going to kill your appetite. Absolutely does. Kills your cravings. Absolutely does. And jumpstarts this process where your body starts to lose calories it's holding on to just because. I don't want my body hanging on to calories. This drops them. The Healthy Fat. thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. It's delicious. Once you start drinking it, you're going to want it every single day because it is that tasty. And then, oh, look, all of a sudden you're losing a pound every 3 or 4 days. It's a pretty good deal. Slow and steady, significant weight loss. Doctor approved, doctor created. thehealthyfat.com/Wendy.
I've gotten sucked into so many of his videos.
I did the other day. What was it? What was he talking about? Oh, he was talking about his wife's skin.
I got sucked into
Yeah.
a lectins one of nuts and you should eat and shouldn't eat.
Yeah, this was, what was wrong with his wife's face? She's darling. And I was like, really? And he made some concoction that apparently works for this or that. And I was like, ooh, I got to get me some of that. I do. I get totally sucked into it. I'm like, because I trust him. You know, when you trust somebody, you're like, that's good.
Let's go 363.
Oh. Now I'm talking. Felt borderline power surgery. Little power surgery. Little leather jacket power surge. How's everybody? Where are we? What did you say we were?
363.
20 thumbs downs. Thank you. That's fantastic. Also want to tell you about Morgane's Fitness. Look, the health and wellness folks that we have, the supplements that we have, the things that we take that we believe really work, they really work. And I know what Kelly Morgan at Morgane's Fitness does as it really works because I've seen evidence of it working. And it's all in the pictures of the people that she sends me. This dude, now he's not part of the normal 90-day Ignite program, which she says give her 3 months, 90 days, and she'll completely change your body. But this dude did this in 8 months. Look at that.
That's nuts.
Right? Okay, how about this
here
one?
she goes.
How about this one? I love this one. Look at her. Look at the top and bottom. Look at that. Incredibly shrinking woman. This is nutty. Okay, wait. Hold on.
You can show your favorite one?
My girl,
Yeah.
who I love.
Yeah.
I do love her. She's so cute. Look at that. Look at the before and after. She's freaking ripped. Morgane's Fitness. MORGAINZ fitness.com. You can join this program remotely where you live, right? 90 days. That puts you at like St. Patrick's Day to look badass.
And then you can celebrate with a bunch of beer.
Yes. It really is my only motivator. Just kidding. All right. How's everybody doing? What's going on out there, Brock?
330. Let's keep the 4K streak going. We're one.
Wait, I don't understand what you just said. What?
330 away.
Oh, okay. How about with our
Follows?
Yeah.
I have to check. Give me a second. We are 17 away from 79,000.
Do it. All you have to do is click that button next to the red one.
But hit the red one too.
Yes, hit
Join
the
us
red
on
one too.
Locals.
So tell them what they get if they join this.
You can get the rundown. Everything we get, every sound bite.
I fill it out every day.
Timestamps. If you're starting your own podcast,
wow, encouraging them to rip us off.
other people have.
Do you think?
Great, yes.
Do you really?
I've seen some shows that when the sound bite is edited by me and I see the same exact sound bite, it makes me think, are they a Locals member? Because anyone can rip off a sound bite, trim the front and the end, but when it's strategically edited and you see the same.
So this is another one of those sit-down interviews that Liz Collin has done. She's phenomenal.
She's fantastic.
You know, and she's the kind of person who doesn't seem to be one of those uber vain people who's worried about talking a lot. She legit edits.
She lets them talk.
Mm-hmm.
You ruined me for that.
Why? That's not true.
Because the way you interview.
Oh.
Most interviewers come real quick and they have their questions lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it to Trump all the time. They ask a question before he can even finish one answer. They're already on to that has nothing to do with the answer.
They didn't hear what he said. When he called us, we didn't have any questions, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
I had nothing written down.
Yeah, you did. You had one question. What took so long?
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, it's so frustrating when you're keenly aware of how corrupt something is, or you have a suspicion, maybe not the proof, but you have that feeling inside that something that you're being told is garbage. Whatever it is that doesn't sit well with you, right? And then down the road, it might take months. It could take years. You find out, the proof comes out, and you're like, that's why I felt weird inside. When Garrett Ziegler from Marco Polo USA got in touch with me, and he said, Wendy, you know what? I followed you, and I know that you've been paying attention to the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. And he says, and I know that you've talked to Jack Maxey, who was one of the first people to take a look at the hard drive, that he was working with Rudy Giuliani, that he flew to Switzerland, where he could feel safe to sit down with the contents of that nasty device, and was able to dig through it and uncover the fraud and the laws that were broken, the crimes. How many do you have? How much time do you have? He's like, I want to send you something. And I said, sure. I had no idea what he was going to send me was this. And I'm holding, it's got to be 7 pounds. The report on the Biden laptop. It is every email. It is all of the crimes. It is all of the financial data. It's the prostitutes. It's all of it. The shell companies chronicled in order for people to see. There's more than 100 pages of sex crimes. I don't want to read that, but it's all right here, ladies and gentlemen. Garrett Ziegler was like, here, anybody who's paying attention, who wants to look at it? No. A laptop's fake. That's not real. 51 former law enforcement officials told us so. No, that's not real. Social media blocked it. It pisses me off. It's right here. It's right there in Minnesota. And it's been right there in Minnesota for at least a decade. This isn't some new deal that one YouTuber guy knocked on a couple doors over the weekend and uncovered. People have known about this for a decade. And that infuriates me. That's not a MAGA thing. That's not a Democrat thing. That's an American thing. It's unacceptable. And when Liz Collin from Alpha News, who's been all over everything Minneapolis, because that's where she's from, and thank God there is one final vestige of believable mainstream media, who's now considered, I guess, fringe. When she sits down with somebody who worked for Homeland Security Investigations in 2015 in Minnesota and was supposed to be looking at these Somalian daycares, and tells you that he's known for 10 years, that this stuff has been going on. I want you to hear this particular gentleman. His name is Jeremy Christensen. He's a former HSI agent. He joined Liz Collin on her podcast and explained how cases of cash smuggling and fraudulent daycare centers have been ignored by prosecutors in Minnesota for years.
Was an HSI agent for 16 years in my 30-year law enforcement career. Back around 2015-ish, I would have to look at my reports to see the exact dates, but a case landed on my desk one day from my supervisor, basically advising me that the state was running a fraud case regarding daycare fraud in Minneapolis through Health and Human Services or Department of Human Services. And they had a task force put together, and they wanted HSI to participate based on our money skills and our immigration skills and so forth like that. So I was advised to start attending the planning meetings they were having with this task force. So over the next several weeks, months, I attended upwards of 3, I believe, planning meetings with this task force of about 20 personnel of various law enforcement agencies, the Health and Human Services, BCA, St. Paul PD, Minneapolis PD, and it was all revolving around fraudulent daycares. They were setting up sham daycares, fake bills, fake students, or just enrolling students that never came, which just all fake daycares. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then over the next several months, we executed several search warrants throughout South Minneapolis, Lake Street, and different areas at these daycares. Never, not one of the daycares I served warrants on, not one person was ever present. Just empty buildings, stacks of invoices and student records of people that our surveillance showed never went there. Nobody ever came in and out of these daycares. It was just completely empty from my experience. Never was occupied daycare. And like I said, we worked that for 3-4 months. I was assigned that case just as a support person to assist with anything needing as far as financial experiences we have with HSI and our immigration authorities and ability to pull records and stuff like that. And ultimately, the task force just kind of went away. Not sure whatever happened to it. The meetings, I would get email notices when their next planning meeting, what we're going to do next, and all of a sudden it just evaporated. Just went away into thin air. No idea whatever happened with the case.
Well, some people got paid off, is what happened, sir, right? Well, what about suitcases full of cash? We've heard about this. This whole idea of bulk cash smuggling. Liz Collin asks him, "Did you experience that, or is that true?" Listen to what he says.
Simultaneously, like I said, as this daycare fraud case was going, we were simultaneously, and again, that's why we would be brought in for this, because we, under HSI, under our customs authorities, we are the lead investigative agency when it comes to bulk cash smuggling. HSI is the lead, and that's one of our primary missions, is to combat bulk cash smuggling. So we have extensive experience in training in bulk cash smuggling. And we do have agents assigned to the airport. They still do. That's one of our missions, is we investigate criminal activity at the customs port at the airport. So our agents at the airport ultimately opened up a case because they were getting these referrals, as your previous guest explained, all this cash going through. So we were stopping and investigating persons leaving the country with this money. And yes, they were declaring it. They weren't hiding the money. They weren't secreting it in luggage. They were declaring it. They were registered money service business couriers. However, our argument at the time, and why we kept the case going, and I say we as an HSI, we really thought it knew it was, common sense was telling us this money was coming from nefarious sources, from fraud. And you can do everything legal, but if the currency you're carrying is from an illegal source, well, i.e. be drug smuggling, human smuggling, illegal counterfeiting goods, whatever. If you have illegal money, that money is illegal and subject to seizure. So we kept the case open for months and months, and every time we would get called from the TSA, we would respond to the airport. We would document the case. Who was taking the money out, how much money, that it was declared. Even called personally, I did myself call the U.S. Attorney's Office and try to get a criminal referral for bulk cash smuggling, explaining, I believe this is nefarious money. It's going out. It's from illegitimate sources. And I was politely told, no, and they're doing everything legal. They're money couriers and they're registered, either with FinCEN or the state. And I'm like, nah, I don't buy it. Illegal money is still illegal money. But no, we just documented it for years. And like I said, I don't know the totality of the documentation because I only responded, I believe, 3 times myself personally. But our agents responded numerous times to the airport for these calls, and we documented it all. So there are documents out there relating to this, and they just need to be exposed.
Congress, tell me that people don't end up moving away from politics after a certain time because the speed with which things happen, it doesn't happen. Change doesn't happen. This guy was all over fraud. He saw suitcases full of cash. He's like, look, how are these Somalian guys getting millions of dollars that they're pushing through customs? They're pushing through the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport. And nobody's doing anything about it. And ultimately, you sit there and you spin your wheels and you're frustrated and you're infuriated and nothing happens. And for your own sanity, you're like, I can't do this anymore. And you move along. It's fraud in plain sight. And finally, Jeremy Christensen, former Homeland Security Investigations officer from 10 years ago, says he presented multiple immigration fraud cases over his years, and not one single one was ever accepted for prosecution.
I was a local police officer for 10 years in Minnesota. Spent 4 years as a federal air marshal and 16 as a special agent with HSI. And in my 16 years as a special agent with HSI, I presented multiple immigration fraud cases where persons had lied, cheated, misconstrued information on immigration applications. And in my experience, in my personal experience, I never once had one case accepted for prosecution for immigration fraud from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Not one. And I presented some pretty damning cases that involved deaths, circumstances where homicides were involved, circumstances where children were killed, and not one time was ever a case prosecuted. Not once.
Really? And this has been known for years. Crickets. They don't want the problem fixed. Everybody's making money. Why do you think your kids can't afford homes? Why do you think life seems unaffordable? Why do it seem like we can never get out of the hole that we didn't create? Well, there you go. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, talk about tone deaf. Either Kathy Hochul lives under a rock or she's dumb, or C, both. But she decides to endorse a Zohran Mamdani strategy. Universal child care. On the heels of Minnesota? Really? Not good timing, Kath. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Like what? It'd be like walking into a known cannibal's house and being like, who wants some barbecue? Like, you wouldn't do that. Everybody's talking about daycare fraud, childcare fraud. I think we should get on with Zoran Mamdani's plan, which is unaffordable, but it's universal daycare, universal childcare. Everybody should get it. Or you realize that everything costs so much because of all the fraud and all the waste and the corruption and abuse. And if you carved all that bull crap out of it, you'd have a lot more money. And you could actually have daycare. Well, that's too much common sense. Disinfectwithsniper.com. 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 Look, if you're tired of all your spices at your house, how about trying Hunt Chef? Hunt Chef spices. Whole set of 10 off the grid. Disinfectwithsniper.com. So you're worried about cold and flu season. Maybe you have a parent or a grandparent staying with you, and you're like, look, we really can't get Aunt Sheila sick. Okay, so everybody just stay away. What you need is a healthy squirt of Sniper.
Yeah, hose her down with that.
Hospital grade disinfectant, antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, anti-everything that makes you sick. There's Knockout, which is the odor eliminator, which also happens to double as a degreaser. I have no idea how, but it does. Everything on the website is phenomenal. No shipping. No shipping. Free shipping. That's pretty amazing. Disinfectwithsniper.com. How many bottles did you say we sold of Hunt Chef?
As of yesterday, 1,829. We actually outsold. You guys bought more from Disinfect with Sniper than he sold on his own site.
Duh.
Yeah.
You guys are magic.
I'd like to announce
You're
it was
pregnant.
requested by Mr. Sean Parnell that he had a fantastic comeback last night and won the first year of the Wendy Bell Radio Fantasy Football League.
Yes.
Yeah, he wanted
You
me
and
to point
Schmobby
that
didn't
out.
do so great.
Yeah, Schmobby's on the chopping block. He doesn't
No.
know that yet, but
Oh.
you know,
You going to trade to a different one?
well, you know, as as owner of the team,
Mm-hmm.
he is the general manager. So we'll see.
Got a front office decision to make?
Yeah, because Toolsy was making comments about it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Does Michael want to be a part of this?
he was.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, I don't know where we ranked ahead or behind, but
I love that
Toolsy.
Brock gets my sons, adult and juvenile, into games of betting and chance.
What are you talking about? We put no money on the fantasy football this league.
Do you have to say lig? Is that like
Yeah, I do. You know what? Yeah, I do.
Is that
I
so?
do. I do.
The fantasy football lig. Okay. It's the radiator too.
But you know, it's funny when Sean's texting me going, "Hey, did you happen to mention that I won the fantasy league?"
Was he in with the commander? Or did he go solo? Was he Han Solo?
He's Han Solo on
Gotcha.
this one, I believe.
All right.
The commander doesn't really. She won the league that Sean and I were in.
Yes.
but
she's
she
pretty
doesn't really
badass.
like it.
But
Stresses her out.
but she's good at it.
I don't know if she's good, but she
Well,
won.
I was just extrapolating from the evidence provided.
Yeah, but he wanted me to point that out. So
Well, I love me some Sean Parnell, White House, or rather Pentagon spokesperson and our friend. 3.85, 150 to go, 10,000 watching live. Hello. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. This is one of those stories. It doesn't make sense, right? It just doesn't make timing. Totally doesn't make sense. And I said this in the commercial break on the live video stream. This is like going into a cannibal's house and asking who wants to go have barbecue, right? You just don't do this. You just don't do this as Kathy Hochul. You don't say something about childcare, daycare, universal care, whatever about children and some services provided. at the heart of America's awakening to the extent of fraud in one city, Minneapolis, that's based solely on children. Children, whether it be daycare, childcare, health care, autism care, adult care, home care. If it has care in it and a Somalian involved, I'm going to go probably somebody's getting ripped off and somebody's getting rich. And you know which one you are. So here's the story about Kathy Hochul. I don't know. She looks terrible. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she stopped getting her infusion of whatever the hell, but she looks absolutely awful. And it's silly. Here's your headline. Hochul throws weight behind Mamdani's multi-billion-dollar universal child care plan, but doesn't say who's going to pay or how. It's a great idea. Everybody wants child care. Here's my rudimentary economic knowledge, right? At this rate, we're never going to have moms or dads in a dual income family or a dual parent family that stays home with the kids. It's not affordable anymore. Why is life not affordable anymore? Well, we had a lot of issues with Bidenomics. We had a lot of issues with really dumb decisions that were purposeful. It was to inflict pain on all of us. But the degree of fraud and corruption is so freaking mind-bendingly staggering that one could only imagine what percentage of your taxes goes to cover the bills of that. 20%? 30%? Can you imagine if the fraud stopped? If places like Minnesota 10 years ago that knew all about it were like, you know what? I'm thinking we should stop this. No, see, I can get rich. I can get paid. I'm sorry. But my love of country supersedes my desire to get wealthy. Every day of the week and 5 times on Sunday. Not so much for other people. New York Post story, Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, said she is bullish on Zohran Mamdani and strongly hinted that she plans to make a big splash. In 2026, man, the state is screwed. By pushing to enact a multi-billion-dollar taxpayer-funded universal child care program. Who in New York doesn't want to pay for that? Who in New York is like, you know what? I love pie in the sky. Socialism on the way to communism doesn't work. Taxes are not supposed to be a redistribution of wealth. That's not the point. Taxes are supposed to go to social services and things that we need. Services for the actual less fortunate, people who are actually needy, not people who we've imported from other countries who want to rip us off and get rich. Our taxes are supposed to be for infrastructure, things that keep us safe, right? Roads, bridges, things of that nature, police, trash pickup, things that keep a civilized society functioning. It's not for universal child care. It's like the ridiculosity of property taxes, right? Why should a homeowner in their 80s, whose home has been paid off for 20 odd years, who has no children left in school, still pay taxes on the property? Taxes that ostensibly go to schools. At some point, shouldn't you sunset out? Shouldn't you have paid more than your fair share? Never. I think Mamdani, is going to be a surprise to a lot of people, Hochul said Sunday on WABC, the Katzmatidis Roundtable radio program. Everyone, let's give him a chance. Oh, really? She said she has a good relationship with Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City, as does President Trump, despite disagreements. But Democrat Hochul, who's seeking re-election to a second 4-year term next year, why would anyone vote for this broad? Said there's an awful lot of alignment between her and Democrat socialist Mamdani, particularly citing universal child care, affordability, and driving down the cost of living in this great city. How do you do that? How do you say we're driving down the costs by then announcing new taxes to pay for something that you plan to give to people as a gimmick for free? Does that make sense to anybody? Because I don't see how you connect those dots. Do I wish that we had the finest child care in the world? Absolutely. Do I believe that the finest child care in the world comes from a parent probably staying home? Yes. Will we ever be able to, as long as Democrats continue to have pie in the sky Everybody gets this. It's going to be great. Raising taxes doesn't make anything more affordable, Kath. You're a disgrace, as much as Cuomo was. Buckle up, New York. It's going to get ugly. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the Trump administration understands, yes, we are the media now. Why do I say that? The proof is in the numbers. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. How do you do that? How do you raise taxes? We're going to raise taxes, right? Everybody will be great. Don't worry about it. You won't even notice. It'll be like the 911 tax for LA, for California.
How's the air conditioning turn on when it's 22 degrees outside?
I know.
Did you see your text from Michael?
No. Let's see.
391, let's go.
Wow. Apparently, Brock encouraged Toolsy to clip the monologue yesterday and put some on Instagram and some on TikTok. Michael did, and apparently they're blowing up. 90,000 views on Instagram and 85,000 on TikTok in 12 hours.
I'm just so good at picking things.
Well, look, I'm trying to help Trump, trying to tell him, look, my man, I know you know business. I'm not going to tell you how to do real estate development. I'm not going to tell you about the right kind of zoysia for your, golf courses. But when it comes to media, I'm going to tell you something. You need to own front and center, be out on top of this. You need to be on top of this, and you need to get Nick Shirley in the Oval Office, and you need to put him in the White House press briefing room. And you need to tell all of the reporters there, pack the place. Pack it. Ask him what you want. Let the new media lead the way. Let the new media lead the way, as they do. This is a really fascinating juxtaposition here. We're going to talk about what the Biden administration did to silence hundreds of voices in the White House press briefing room, literally by saying you're not invited anymore. And then what the Trump administration did to fix that and to tell the White House press association of suck, whoever these idiots are, you don't run the show. We're the administration. We run the show. And so we decide the order in which people sit in the White House press briefing room. And the Associated Press, which apparently always got to ask the first question, well, ever since they refused to call it the Gulf of America, the Trump administration has bounced them from any kind of stature at all in the White House press briefing room, which is brilliant. Consequences. You suck. Okay, let me tell you about Dr. Rafferty, Richard Rafferty, what he does at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. It's life-changing, I would do anything in the world to never have surgery again. I've had multiple operations. I had a C-section. I had my toe, my foot, my gallbladder, my wrists. I've had surgery on all of those things. My boob job.
Your knee.
Oh, my knee. I forgot about my knee. And it's amazing how a 20-minute procedure can hobble you for 9 months. It's truly wild, right? So if there's a way I can have a therapy so I don't have to have surgery, bang, 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 I'm there. That is what Dr. Rafferty does. And he says, look, if you have discs in your back or your neck, they're out of place. They've crumbled. They've fallen apart. They've deteriorated. They've moved. You're in pain. And every moment is just, don't live like that. I can help you. And I can help you without having surgery on you. Now, if that's not enough to make you go, really? What's that number? Well, I'm glad you asked. 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600. Literally, people come to Pittsburgh to meet with Dr. Rafferty to see if they're candidates. And then they come and they stay a couple months to go through the therapy. And they say, I'm healed. 98% successful. That's worth it to me. 412-906-9600. Non-surgical repair because your discs grow back.
We hit 79.
Okay, let's add a couple hundred more.
And we are 50 away from 4K.
I love you guys. I find this as the conclusion of this idea of this new media. We have been for a while, but I think crises that draw radio silence from mainstream media. Who was it in Minnesota who hasn't even covered the story, Brock?
The Tribune, Minnesota Star Tribune, I think they are. Their major paper, which is a left-leaning.
Crickets. Fake news. You not covering it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It does mean that you're corrupt, probably. Or at least at the very least, biased as stones. Huh. You didn't tell Toolsy what to clip today, did you?
No.
Oh, you make him work for it.
Why, is there something you want clipped? I would probably clip the monologue again.
This is so gross, you guys. Look at this.
It's snowing.
And so they cover up. So Garrett Ziegler from Marco Polo, when the nudie pictures of Hunter doing stuff with hookers, they cover up the private parts with Hunter's meth mouth. A snapshot of his gnarly teeth. That's the redacted block. That's what they put on everything. It's hilarious.
That's 7 pounds of lie. Hunter told us that it did not exist.
The laptop didn't exist like
Yeah.
this new. Wendy Bell radio program, I will reiterate my call to the President of the United States. Kindly, sir, Mr. President, get Nick Shirley on a plane, fly him to Washington, get him into the Oval Office, get him inside that White House press briefing room, put him on the podium, give him a mic, and let him answer questions. Listen who asks good ones and listen to who says nothing. Because if the media refuses to cover the story, and ladies and gentlemen, there are a hell of a lot of them out there who have not. The Minnesota fraud story. A story 10 years in the making, probably even longer. Crickets, radio silent. If the media inside that room refuses to cover the story, it tells you everything you need to know. Own the story. Explain what's going on. Turn up the heat underneath Tim Walz. We need action, sir. Period. Because you've greased the skids for it, Mr. President. So I want to take you back to Joe Biden's time. It really wasn't. He was in his hyperbaric chamber being wheeled around like Weekend at Bernie's, right? He was looking at cue cards trying to remember who everybody was. Who's that? Oh, that's your son. Oh, sorry. Right? Under Joe Biden, a lot of reporters lost their credentials. It's sort of like either you report what we want you to report or you don't get access to the office anymore. It's kind of like a blackmail bribery thing. You know, the lifeblood of the Beltway. Yeah. So Joe Biden's administration changed the whole White House press pool and cut off more than 440 reporters' credentials. Did you know that? Because I didn't recall that. And the Trump administration, this is from February of this year, what I'm reading. The White House will now oversee which news outlets will be part of the White House press pool rather than the White House Correspondents Association, the White House press secretary said Tuesday. Again, this was nearly a year ago. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join. Fear not, Caroline Levitt said. But we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility to cover the administration. President Trump's White House isn't the only one to roll out controversial policies regarding press access. In 2020, it's not controversial what the president did. He said, look, we're going to invite people who've been telling the truth, who deserve a voice, who deserve a place in this room. And those of you who lie repeatedly, you're going to lose your stature. And if you don't get with the program, you're going to lose your access. And that's fine because that's what Joe Biden did. In 2023, more than 440 reporters lost press credentials after Joe Biden's White House modified its rules for eligibility for permanent passes. The press members dropped from 1,417 members to 975 members at the White House unveiled new standards requiring an annual renewal of hard passes. Politico reported in 2023. Journalists without hard passes were still authorized to apply for day passes to the White House. The Biden White House policy was launched in May 23, required reporters to prove employment with an organization whose principal business is news dissemination and show that they have, quote, accessed the White House campus at least once during the prior 6 months for work or have proof of employment within the last 3 months to cover the White House. Basically, if you work for yourself, if you are Wendy Bell of Wendy Bell Radio, you don't work for a credentialed news organization. We don't recognize you. Yeah, well, I show up every day when you idiots don't. Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, I tell the truth when you morons don't. Well, that's exactly why you're not going to get credentialed. That's what happened under Joe Biden. It was a squeeze play. It was a muzzling of independent journalists. And then President Trump came back into office. And at the Washington Times, there is a reporter named Carrie Washington. She's been on the program before. She's one of those hard-nosed, believable reporters. And she is chronicling the difference between these two administrations on how they address the media. Okay? So she wrote this article, and I find it very fascinating. But this underscores today's theme. We are the new media now. Not CNN. Not the Wall Street Journal. Certainly not the networks. And this is what she writes. Carrie Pickett. Immediately upon his return to the White House for a second term, President Trump and his team adopted an aggressive press strategy to avoid constantly playing defense, as they had during the first term. Mr. Trump, who always had a combative relationship with the Washington press corps, assembled a communications team to shake up what he saw as an outdated media landscape. White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt said the communications shop is now more closely aligned with Mr. Trump's style. She said, we respond at nearly every single inquiry, no matter the reporter or the outlet, she said. We provide the clear facts to shape good coverage. And when we see fake news, we call it out and aggressively push back to set the record straight. Interesting. One of the biggest changes between Mr. Trump's first and second terms is the increased presence of conservative news outlets in the White House press corps. The Trump White House restored all of the press passes revoked under President Biden, those 442. It issued new ones to new media, such as podcasters and other alternative news sites, including the Daily Wire, the Daily Signal, Right Side Broadcasting, Real America's Voice, and Lindell TV. And that added nearly 500 new passes. They also added a new media seat in the briefing room, which is filled by a different new media correspondent at each briefing. That correspondent also kicks off the briefing with the first questions, a privilege once reserved for the Associated Press. Sean Spicer, who served as Mr. Trump's first press secretary in his first term, said many of the new media outlets have readerships and audiences that were largely shut out when Mr. Trump first took office in 2017. I don't think we had any indication of the level of hostility the legacy media was approaching, Spicer said. This time, clearly, Trump has the ability to see everything through the lens of how things went the first term. Spicer, who also often found himself in heated briefing room exchanges with Jim Acosta from CNN or ABC News' Jonathan Karl, said that now at least 10 outlets in the briefing room cover Mr. Trump much more fairly. Ms. Levitt also said that having conservative media in the briefing room has a positive impact on how news is presented to Americans, including the 80 million voters who supported Mr. Trump in 2024. The campaign revealed that the majority of the American people receive their news outside of the legacy media bubble. Bing, 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 which is why it is essential that we meet Americans where they are and allow media from across the ideological spectrum to cover the White House, which is why I say respectfully to Caroline Levitt and to President Trump and this administration, get out in front of Nick Shirley. Bring him in. Say something, because we are starving for anything that even remotely looks like someday the fraud and the lies and the crime and the corruption and the abuse and the election interference and the garbage may ultimately come to an end. The idea was, why are we conforming to all of this? Just because someone said that this was the tradition. This is how it's always been. And President Trump came in and said, you know what? We're going to do what we want when we want. Sir, respectfully, do this. And you've got to do it now. The second-term team also brought the hammer down on legacy media outlets and correspondents, took control of picking the members of the handful of reporters from TV, radio, print, new media, and wire services who cover the president's public events. Taking control away from the White House Correspondents Association, the administration became the arbiter of which outlets get access to small events and travel with the president. And what's more, the AP lost its special access to White House events, such as the Oval Office, after refusing to adopt Trump's renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The Wall Street Journal was restricted from the White House press pool in July for a presidential trip to Scotland after publishing stories critical of Trump's relationship with sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Didn't sit well with some White House reporters. Oh, well. Right? In October, the White House began requiring reporters to make an appointment to speak with senior press officials, such as Ms. Levitt or White House Communications Director Stephen Chung. Reporters are also being reprimanded more by Ms. Levitt or Mr. Trump himself when they press for further responses or they challenge the White House statements. Levitt said the American people recognize and appreciate that President Trump is the most transparent and accessible president in the history of our country. I don't disagree. But I'm going to go back to it. This is a failure. This is a swing and a miss. This is the golden chalice, and it's up to your lips, Mr. President. You have a captive and hungry, defrauded, beleaguered, and broken American population. We've watched for the last 4 years, 4 of the last 5 years, as people who don't look like this, like we do, who don't share our values, who don't have our culture, replaced us. And were given the sky. And then we were lied to about it as our taxes went up. You can't wait. You have to say something, or else it's going to cost you everything. And I mean that sincerely, Mr. President. Call him. Let the media talk to Nick Shirley. And then see what happens. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, one of my favorite influencers, who is one of the new media members, his name is Jeffrey Mead. And he says, you know what? Don't let the legacy media silence us about Somali-run fraud in Minnesota or any other place in this country. Don't let it leave you thinking it's no big deal, because it is giant. Great closing message next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. love how Mara Gay from the New York Times is like, this is a weaponization of the Trump DOJ against the Somalis, against people. And I'm like, you're the world's biggest scumbag right now, because I'm sure Jeremy Toobin or Jeffrey Toobin will come back someday. Is it Jeffrey or Jeremy? Jeffrey Toobin?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Lubin Toobin.
Oh my gosh. No, you didn't just call him that. Did you just call him Lubin Toobin?
Yeah.
Where did you see that? Did you see that somewhere, or did you just make it up?
I just made
it up. It's all very discouraging. All right, so where are we? Did we make it to 4?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are the best. See.
The Jeffrey Toobin ones write themselves. Anything you can say. Jeffrey Toobin strokes the egos of his coworkers. Jeffrey Toobin. How embarrassing.
I mean, literally, that's a member of the media.
Oh, this Zoom calls are really great. Oh. It's the best Zoom call I've ever been on.
Oh my God, you've got to stop. That is so disturbing on every level. That is so disturbing on every level.
Say it, fake tapper. Say it.
Yes.
Tell us about your date with Monica.
Yes.
I'll have his Zoom call.
Oh, it's so disturbing on so many levels. All right.
And you have to bring him back in an interview to talk about it. Like,
yeah.
do
So
we really need to talk
thinking?
about it?
What exactly were you thinking during that Zoom call? Not about you people, or were you? Oh, CNN.
Oh, Harry Hinton.
So wrong. Harry wants you to talk about J.D. Vance today. We didn't want to talk about it today, so we're not talking about it today. Hey, hit the follow button. Hit the follow button. I'm so excited that you're here. Where have we added any more?
Yeah, we're at 79,015. We're only 985 away
from 80,000.
Yes. No, from 100,000. Of course, 80,000.
You're such a.
Jeffrey Toobin. You brought him up. And his inability to keep his. Well, no, he did keep his hands to himself.
I would be mortified. Can you imagine if you were that person? So you walk down the hall and everybody was like, he's the guy that was masturbating on a Zoom call.
What were the other people on the Zoom call
What if you shook
thinking?
his hands? He's like, Jeremy Toobin or Jeffrey Toobin.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
no, thank you.
He's like, no, seriously, I just washed my hands. You'd be like,
Everywhere you go, he's in the bathroom. I wonder what he's doing.
His door is closed.
Why does he always use a stall?
Stop. Stop. So if we are, in fact, the new media, think about all the voices we share with you on this program. From Nick Sorter, who actually cut his teeth being one of the few people to go to Lahaina, right? Remember, he was there on the ground with our insider who was there, Phil, called us from Lahaina to tell us about all of the fraud and the waste and the abuse going on with a crematorium-style inferno in which we were not allowed to ask, nor did we get any conclusion. How many children died? Where'd they all go? 1,700 kids didn't enroll back in school. Where is everybody? Shh. Not allowed to talk about that. Well, Nick Sorter was all over it. The older millennial, we see him and we play his clips commonly, right? What'd they do? They tried to arrest him and get him all tied up in some legal mumbo jumbo to muzzle him and silence his voice, right? Thank you to Elon Musk is what I'm going to say. If Elon Musk had not purchased Twitter, I think we would be in a way different media landscape today. That might be the single most critical development in the whole idea that you and I should have access to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank goodness for Elon Musk. He exposed it all. The Twitter files, the Biden administration, FBI, CIA, commingling, crossing over that beautiful blood-brain barrier to go infiltrate social media and control what we're allowed to talk about, who's allowed to have a voice. The Trump administration changed that, and so did Elon Musk. Jeffrey Mead is one of my favorite influencers as well. And he has found a video of a woman, ostensibly who's a Somali American, who's gushing in her car. Don't you believe all that fraud about Minnesota? My people are wonderful people. We are such a success story here in America. Well, Jeffrey has a little thing to say about that. Let's enjoy.
But first things first, I'm actually so shocked that Trump is attacking us. I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and I'm going to explain. First things first, I think we are a good example of what the American dream can look like. Like, Somali Americans, and it's making me sad and it's funny. Like, I know Somali people are very funny. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Somalis in Minnesota are so successful. I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota, and I leave so inspired. You have Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies, Somali-owned everything you can think of, and it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim, we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applauded.
No, you guys are not that successful in Minnesota. 89% of immigrant Somali households are on some type of welfare. If you look above my head, you'll see that 23% are on cash. If we go over to food stamps, you'll see that 62% are on food stamps. If we go to Medicaid, you'll see that 86% are on Medicaid. So 89% of Somali immigrant families that have children are on some type of welfare in the United States. 89%. And this is coming from the Center for Immigration Studies. Now, in the vast majority of cases, if someone is on Medicaid, they are a net recipient in tax dollars, meaning the value of the benefits they receive from the government is more than they pay into the federal tax system. Again, that means they're a net recipient. They are taking from the system more than they're contributing to the system. So essentially 9 out of 10 Somali immigrant families that have children are taking more in dollars than they are giving to our federal tax system. I wouldn't define that as success.
And when you look at these Somalian households that have children who've been here for at least 10 years, their situation doesn't get any better. They don't all of a sudden start providing more. Listen.
But let's go back. Look at the light gray. It says Somali immigrant households with children over 10 years in the U.S. So these families have had over 10 years in the United States, and there's only a 3% difference in the amount that are on Medicaid and not. So after they've been in the U.S. for 10 plus years, 83% of these Somali immigrant families with children are still on Medicaid. Again, that is not success. And that's not being racist or hating. That's just reality. So please do not come preaching in our face something that is not true.
100% correct. Oh, so who's at fault here? Who do you blame for this fraud, for the degree of it? Do you blame the Somalians who, for some reason, can't seem to make anything work in Somalia, but manage to enrich themselves and send gobs of money back to the homeland to potentially be funding al-Shabaab? Are they at fault for taking advantage of a system? For accepting the invitation to defraud the American taxpayer every which way and every single day they can, and for years? Or do you dig deeper and do you have to identify where is the head of the snake? Is it Ilhan Omar? Is it her? Is it Congress? Is it Tim Walz? Who is it? Is it Democratic Party? Is it the DNC? I don't know. But Mr. President, you got to get out in front of it, sir. Say something. Because we're tired of paying for all of it. Thanks for being with me here on the Wendy Bell radio program. I hope you come back tomorrow, right? Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.